got a good band tonight. Hey, welcome, NorCal Sports Network. 49ers go down today, their first loss of the year, 19-17 to the Cleveland Browns. And we're joined by the usual crew of Los, Bora, and Eric, but we've got the man himself, Larry the Legend.
Larry the Legend.
Larry the Legend. There he is. I recognize that shirt, Larry. I think I saw it earlier today.
Exactly. It's one of my 7 T-shirts that I rotate on the weekend.
There we go. All right, gang. Hey, so Niners lose a tough one today. Let's break it down. We talked about it earlier today. It's been all over, but we're now almost 8 hours past their first loss, and it was a tough one to lose. But what do you think, Larry? What's your take?
Well,
on it?
it was just a lot of adversity that the Niners couldn't overcome. I mean, it started with Dre Greenlaw missing the game. Greenlaw is one of the igniters of their defense. They've got 2 really special players on that second level, and when they're on the field together, they're a deadly tandem. They didn't have either one, or they didn't have Dre Greenlaw today. They only had one of the 2. So, and it showed. Cleveland ran 34 times for 160 yards, almost 5 yards a carry. They ran a lot more successfully than I thought they would without Nick Chubb. Cleveland had run for less than 100 yards, I believe, in the last couple games. But it also kind of goes to show that, there was a lot of adversity in this game that people didn't even see. The Browns are coming off a bye. The 49ers are coming off an emotional win over Dallas. So there's a lot more preparation that the Browns got to make for the Niners and the Niners got to make for the Browns. That's one. 2, the Niners didn't have Dre Greenlaw, and then the game starts. They're on the road against the number 1 defense. Jim Schwartz has had great success against Kyle Shanahan. He's now 9-1 against Shanahan. And this Browns defense is legit. You look at the talent that they have. They got impact players on all 3 levels of their defense. Myles Garrett is as good as there is on the defensive line. Dalvin Tomlinson played really, really well. Zadarius Smith, Okonkwo, they can get after you up front. And then on the back end, you've got, Greg Newsome and Grant Delpit and Denzel Ward. And then you got Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in the middle, who's fast. He had 3 tackles for loss. He had a couple hits on the quarterback himself. So it's a really good, well-coordinated defense that's really good on the back end. It's probably the best 3 pass rusher group they've seen. It's probably the best 3 cornerback group that they've seen. Then the game starts. Debo goes out early with an injury. He doesn't come back. CMC just got absolutely pulverized. He left the game. Trent Williams gets his ankle and leg or knee rolled up on. They had to retape him, and he played hurt the rest of the day. So, a lot of these, and then, Brock Purdy struggled in the wet weather, clearly, and was a little bit off and threw his first interception and was not particularly sharp. And then Brandon Ayuk, without Debo and without CMC, really needed to step up. He had 4 drops. He didn't step up. Kittle was a total non-factor. So all these things, then the Niners had 12 penalties. Then Jake Moody missed two field goals. Then there were 2 ridiculously bad calls that were absolutely game changers in the Tayshaun Gibson and Mooney Ward calls. And then I thought Shanahan got a tad conservative at the end of the game, when the Niners are driving the ball down. In the midst of all of this, the 49ers still had a shot to win the game. They got the ball back on their own 25-yard line with 1:40, down 19-17, and Purdy drove them down the field into field goal range. Kyle Shanahan, they got to 1st and 10 on the 26, and he ran J.P. Mason on kind of just like a really conservative buck into the line for 3 yards. So then on 2nd and 7 at the 23, they just downed it. And they had time. They could have run another play there, but they just decided to down it. And they came on and they kicked the field goal on 3rd down, and Moody pushed it right. It was a pressure kick, and so, I mean, to me, it was just like, I'm not making excuses. There was just to me, there are games where you win as a team. This was a game they lost as a team. They really did. They didn't play. Randy Gregory was really good. The Browns had a great game plan, I thought, for Nick Bosa. They neutralized him. They often doubled him. All I would say is that it's kind of sad because we're going to get to tomorrow, and it's going to be a gigantic Brock Purdy crap fest. But in reality, there's all kinds of blame to go around. I mean, I think Ayuk was very, very disappointing. I thought Shanahan's play calling at the end was not good. And then you mix in the injuries and the missed kicks and no Greenlaw, and it's just like the Niners are a really good team. But if you take away Debo, CMC, Trent Williams at 100%, Dre Greenlaw, it's just you start to Kittle does nothing. I mean, you got to have somebody's got to step up when you have that many guys not there. And it was supposed to be Brandon Ayuk, and he just didn't do it. So I don't want to put it all on Ayuk, but very disappointing game from him. They targeted him 10 times. He caught 4 and didn't catch 6.
Yeah, and Larry, I think the key, you mentioned it, into the game. I watched the game tonight, Buffalo. They were down 10 to or 9-7, and Allen could have just went for the field goal toward the end of the game, but they pushed it down. They got aggressive, and they went and they got the TD. Kyle has done better this year, being more aggressive, and he went back to old Kyle today, being very conservative. Just downing the ball, letting the clock run down. Probably could have picked up 3 to 4, maybe 5 yards. Handing the ball off to Mason once, if not twice, and made it a 35-yard field goal. That there is a difference between 35 and 41. It doesn't seem like much, but mentally there is. And I just wish he would be a little bit more aggressive as he has been this year. He's been going more fourth downs and near midfield, 4th and shorts. He's been pushing the envelope. That's the way you win in this league. Is you got to be aggressive. You see it in a lot of the other teams, and when you get too doggone conservative, you end up losing games.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, here's the thing: you got to know your opponent too, right? You're going up against the number 1 D, but they were the number 1 pass D, and so if you're going up against the number 1 pass D on a rainy day, and you're down Debo and CMC, the question is who gets the ball. Now they tried to force it to Ayuk. He wasn't up for it, and they didn't really hand it to. The Niners ran it okay. They ran 4.3 a carry. It wasn't like they were a disaster running the ball. They just didn't run it at the end. And to me, when you look at the run plays versus the pass plays, this should have been like a 65-35 run pass split kind of a game. And they actually passed more than they ran in a game that was really close, that they led for much of the game.
Los, what's your thoughts on the game? You watched the game today. What was your take on it?
Well, I knew it was going to be a physical game. There are about 3 teams in the NFL that can stand up to the Niners as bullies. 1 is Philadelphia, 2 is Cleveland, 3 possibly might be Detroit with their line play. And the Niners got pushed around on the lines, both sides. I was watching Bosa. He was going against, I think it's Devon Jones, the right tackle from Ohio State. Enormous, huge man. He was pushing him off. So, as 49er creators, it's our job to always talk about the blame game. Who's to blame for the Niners' loss? Sometimes you got to be a football fan and just say and give credit where credit is due. Like Cleveland played really well. They probably deserved to win that game. But even with all that, and we know how many things went wrong, Niners were still in a position to win the game if Moody makes that kick. I'll tell you one thing, though, that I'm happy about that not too many people are discussing, and that's Brock Purdy's mental game, not his physical game that everybody breaks apart so much, his mental game. The kid did not have a good game. He lost 2 of his best playmakers, and he still had the forthright to be able to put that all aside. And when the game was on the line, do what everybody wanted to see him do, drive the ball down the field and put his team in a position to win. So I like that from him from a mental point of view.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a disappointing loss. I think majority of the Niners fans and players were expecting them to win. The Browns were coming off a bye, so they were prepared. They've been preparing for the Niners for about 2 weeks. They knew who they were facing. I thought I'm not too concerned about the offense. I'm more concerned about, it's not really concerned, but what stuck out to me was the defense and especially the trenches. The Niners average before coming to this game, the Niners had allowed 13.9 points per game. Today they allowed 19. They allowed 267 yards per game. Today they allowed 334. They'd allowed 3.7 yards per carry. Today they allowed 4.7. And they had allowed 64 rushing yards per game, and today they allowed 160. So I thought that was where they lost the game. They weren't really able to stop the run. The Browns' offensive line sort of controlled the game, controlled the run game.
Push them around.
They pushed them around, and even the Niners weren't able to create as much pressure as I expected them to. Bosa was double teamed, and not a lot of other players. Larry, you mentioned Randy Gregory. He had a sack. He played pretty well.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, no one else on that defensive line stepped up and was able to take control of the game. So I mean, that's just my take. That's where I felt they lost the game.
Yeah, and I was just watching the Warriors. They threw a lob pass into the kid from Indiana. Just went a little over his head. 111 at the end of regulation and preseason. Nothing worse than an overtime game in preseason. Oh,
what channel is that on?
ESPN.
You know, the other thing I'll say is that I like Cleveland's game plan. You have 2 aggressive defenses, and Cleveland ran a lot of screens.
Yeah, the forward.
Which is what you do against an aggressive defense rushing upfield. And I know McCaffrey runs a screen great, but there are other guys that can do that. You might want to try at least a few screens to slow down that pass rush. That slow draw right that they're trying to do, that play doesn't work. So
yeah. What's your guys' take next week? Is I think McCaffrey may sit out. I mean, that's an oblique and a rib. That's something that you don't want to be dealing with all year. Better just to get that thing well. Do you see them going to a mix of Mitchell and Mason, or do you see Mason getting the majority of the carries?
Well, I mean,
if he's out,
they love Mitchell. I mean, Shanahan loves Mitchell. But the reason they love Mitchell is because he has good instincts between the tackles. He picks the right hole. He generally falls forward. He never fumbles. So those are all positive attributes. But I mean, they should have featured Jordan Mason more today. I mean, it was a Jordan Mason weather day. He's a big 240-pound back. I'd like to see him featured, to be honest. I want to see what he's got. I want to see somebody stop him over the course of a game. So it seems like Elijah Mitchell just can't stay healthy. So that would be my concern is, if he can't stay healthy, then you're going to – that's a problem. So I'd rather see Jordan Mason right now.
It was an interesting game plan to go after the number 1 pass-rated defense who plays a lot of press, man-to-man. They didn't play a lot of zones, so there was not a lot of windows for Purdy to throw like normal. They play press, man-to-man defense. So it's I was kind of with you, surprised that they didn't commit a little bit more to the running game, even when McCaffrey went out.
Yeah, it overall, I mean, if they always say losses, every loss sucks, but you can really grow from a loss. I'd much rather lose a tough game that you walk away knowing you didn't play your best, but you could have won. And it leaves a feeling when you walk off the field of like, dang it, these games aren't easy, and we're going to have to be sharp. We're going to have to bring our B plus game at least. I mean, today I think they look like, and some of this you got to give credit to Cleveland. They forced them into what I would consider like a C- game.
Absolutely.
And so you got to give credit to the opponent. But and Larry brought it up too, the key. I mean, you're missing guys, but that's part of football. I mean, you're going to be missing key guys probably almost every week. The rest
they
of
were
the
missing
season.
their starting quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. They're missing Deshaun Watson. So you're going to miss guys. It's impossible to have everybody suit up every week. So I just think that everybody from the coaching staff to the players need to realize, you know what? I mean, we saw it before the beginning of the game. This is a team that everybody's coming for, the Niners. People recognize them as the top tier, them and the Eagles, maybe the Dolphins up there, but they recognize them. And you saw it. I thought the advantage was going to go to the Niners when the Niners came onto the field today and Cleveland was sitting there jawing. There was who's number 5 for Cleveland?
Newsom, maybe? I don't know.
Was it 5 or 95? Was it Garrett that was standing over there, or was it 5 that was just jawing and every player coming down the sideline of the Niners? And it was like, okay, we got game on. Then Debo gets in, and then Trent Williams comes and just plasters the guy.
Debo throws a shoulder into a guy when his shoulder is already kind of banged up.
Now it is. That was before, right?
Right.
So, I just think the Niners are going to they're going to have to realize that everybody's coming for them, especially on the road. It's going to be tough, but I think it toughens them up. I think if any loss is a good loss, this is a good loss because you're still 5-1. You're still at the top of the NFC with Detroit and Philadelphia. You control the NFC West. Just keep winning, and you're not going to win every game. And we talked about it. This could be a trap game.
We did.
Yeah. So.
As you said, you're not going to win every game. You're going to, you can't expect to win every game. I mean, look what it took to beat them.
We did. Absolutely.
I mean, it took a Herculean effort and like 19 different disastrous situations to happen. And personally, I mean, I know it sounds like sour grapes to be mad about the Gibson call, but that was a bad call. That's 4th and 10.
It was.
That's 4th and 10. I mean, come on. I mean, that's like calling a fly ball to left a home run in a game. Oh, well, it was just one bad call. Yeah, it was a fly ball to left. You called it a home run. I mean, it was
bad calls all around. This is what irritates me.
But that wasn't just a bad call. That was a game-changing call.
Hey, the Walker fumble before halftime, calling it an incomplete pass was
the refs did not.
That wasn't a pass. It came off of his fingertips. The guy, the defender hit his arm, and it came off of his fingertips.
Yeah,
that's a fumble.
Exactly.
I don't know why they have to call that an incomplete pass right away. Just call it a fumble, let the play out, and all turnover plays are reviewed, right? So you can go back and see if it's an incompletion or a fumble.
Yeah,
if that's going to be if that's the standard I mean, so I guess this whole idea. I mean, think about it. If you have a sack fumble, that's a hugely negative play. Huge. If you have an incomplete pass and a penalty, that's a far less negative play. So why are there ever going to be any sacks in the future? Why would there ever be a sack? Why wouldn't you just? If you're going to get a sack there, why not just kind of just throw it any way you want forward? That's not a forward pass. He wasn't passing it to anybody. That to me is a flaw in the rules. You
Yeah, there's
can't.
no way he was passing because
You,
he did.
you can't negate. You can't negate a sack by just at the last second throwing it down. I mean that should be a fumble. That should be a fumble. You're not really passing it, and it should be more than just, oh, well, it didn't get to the line of scrimmage. There wasn't a receiver in the area. Because look, you shouldn't get the benefit of, the team that the defensive team should get the benefit and be able to choose what they want, not the offensive team being able to negate sacks basically anytime they want by just, I'm going to get sacked. And then all of a sudden I just flip it with my offhand down towards the ground, and I'll take the incomplete pass and penalty.
Shades of Kenny Stabler and the Holy Roller.
Yeah.
Just a flaw in the rule. I mean, that's got to be changed. I mean,
It's horrible.
otherwise, do we not care at all about sacks? I mean, so a guy who is going to sack the quarterback, literally the quarterback can negate a sack at any time?
I really think
that
it's
seems wrong.
time that the NFL goes to full-time officiating. This is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. All right, let's just put it what it is. It's a corporation. It makes a ton of money, and they got part-time officials, and a lot of these guys are older than I am. All right, and it's just ridiculous.
I'm not saying something.
I'm not going out there and officiating in the shape I'm in at this point in my life, running up and down. I mean, come on. You got athletes that played the game that could officiate. I mean, I really think guys should be like 40 years old, 35, 40, 45 years old, in that range. Guys that are in shape. I've seen guys running down the sidelines, chasing a guy who's running it down the field, and he's 50 yards behind the guy. It's like, you know what? Add an extra official on each sideline down into the secondary. Okay, you got the line judge, you got the back judge. Add two, like the left field and right field in the playoffs. When in baseball, they put a guy down the left field line, put two guys further down. There is no reason the NFL, don't tell me they don't have the money. Come on. They miss so many calls. Tonight, the Giants, Brian Iglesias mentions it. Who's more pissed at the refs today, the Niners or the Giants? Horrific officiating toward today against both teams. The last play of the game, I'll show you a picture my son sent me just right after the game here. This was the last play of the game. Look at holding Waller's jersey. Look at that. While he's going to go up and leap for the ball with no time left, the guy's holding it onto his jersey. He can't jump as high. That was clear interference. Why didn't they call it? Oh, it would have been 2 calls in a row. Maybe that would look bad. Like, come on. Get the calls right. I've just seen so many bad calls, and it seems like the worst call is always a defensive bang play. Whether it was the bogus pass interference call in the NFC Championship years ago against the Saints, when let the Rams get into the Super Bowl, or if it was, today we saw the hit by Gibson, shoulder to shoulder. They call it, that.
We could have a 3 to 4 hour show if we talk.
I just don't think it's
bad
that
calls in crucial games in the game of football more than any sport.
Just get it right. I mean, it should be a reviewable play. I mean, gosh, it's such a disadvantage, always generally to the defense, and they got so many calls. I mean, Niners didn't get to go to Super Bowl back in 84 or 83. I mean, when playing Washington, they called that was one of the worst pass interference calls I've ever seen against Eric Wright. It's like, I don't know. I just get really irritated, especially, the NFL knows how much money's bet on games and how much money's involved in all of it. And it's just like, you got to get it right. Come on. Put 2 more officials out there, get younger guys, at least make an effort to show like you're trying to correct it. The game's gotten faster. The players are bigger, faster, and they got the same amount of officials out there. It's like, I don't get it.
Well, I mean, to me, I mean, it is. It's funny. The NFL is a whatever it is, 20-something billion dollar, industry at this point. But its roots are mom and pop. And it's like they have to say goodbye to their mom and pop roots, and get with the program. I mean, there's several things about the NFL that used to be kind of like charming. Like, oh, this guy's a school teacher on a Wednesday and he's officiating an NFL game on a Sunday. Well, okay, that was fine back in the day, but now there's millions and billions of dollars on the line and all kinds of dollars being wagered. It's suddenly not cool that your main official has really got a spelling bee that he's running on a Thursday. It's like, no, how about preparing for the game on a Thursday? It's like if you go to your barber and he says, I can take apart a carburetor and rebuild it in 5 minutes. Does that make you feel better about your haircut? No. It just tells me that you're dabbling in haircutting and you're actually really a mechanic. And it's like, stop dabbling in officiating when you're really a school teacher or you're really a lawyer or you're really a judge. If you want to be good at what you do it all the time. And don't tell me there's not enough money to pay these guys. There's plenty of money to pay these guys.
Absolutely.
Don't tell me it's not important enough. There's other little things too. Hey, Bob was stocking shelves at Kroger's on Thursday, and today he's playing wide receiver in the NFL. Well, guess what? That sounded really cool back in the day. Now they've got 16-man practice squad, so that doesn't ever happen. Why? Because the games mean a lot, and there's a lot on the line, and you want to give the fans, since they're paying ridiculous amounts of dollars and for these tickets, you want to give them a better show. So it's like, say goodbye to your mom and pop roots and embrace the fact that you're a $20 billion freaking industry and start acting like it.
Yep. And with that, we bring in Ryan Smith.
Hey.
Hey, Ryan, what's up?
What's up, Ryan?
What's up?
Ryan? Man, we've been talking a little bit about the officiating as we watched another bogus calls at the end of the Giants-Bills game tonight. And, to me, when you got this type of games on the line, the importance of the games, the importance, how much gambling the league endorses, basically, it's all over sports, and they can't get calls right that affect outcomes. It's just ridiculous. I mean,
there it is.
It really has to change because these guys are out of position, a lot of them. How about the call? They called a call on one official called a roughing the passer against Josh Allen tonight that wasn't even near the play, and the other officials were right in front of it, let it go. Some other official, like 30, 40 yards away, calls it, and everybody said it was a clean play. I mean, we heard it today with the call against Gibson, how clean that was. You heard who was the commentator? Oh, Greg Olson. You said that was a totally clean hit,
Shoulder to shoulder. But if an offensive player snaps back, either the head or the body, almost no matter how clean you hit them, they're going to call it. They just see that body just go back like that, and it's like, oh, he was hit too hard, flag. He did it. He that was a textbook tackle by Gibson. Couldn't do it better.
You wouldn't have coached. You couldn't have coached it up better because he did exactly what he had to do. Yep. I could see it if it was late, if the ball went sailing over the receiver's head and then he came in, but he hit him about the same time it went off his fingertips.
Which is what your job is.
Yeah, because he doesn't know if it's going to be. He's seeing it. Okay, I'm going to go in and jar the ball loose if he comes down with it. So, unfortunately, it's part of the game. Officiating, there's going to be bad calls, but I just think the league needs to go to certain calls like that have to be reviewable. We've all seen it in college football. Whenever there's a play that looks like targeting, they call a timeout, they go look at it, and they either come back and say targeting, the player's ejected, or they say there was no targeting on the play. That could have happened today, and that would have been a clean hit. It would have been 4th and 10, and maybe the 49ers were talking about a 6-0 today.
How about this? This is kind of like the elephant in the room. Call me Captain Obvious. But what if the kicker hit the field goal? Would we even talking about referees? Would we be talking about this? The guy missed a 41-yard field goal at the end. That's what he's paid to do. Or not, he wasn't being asked to do anything spectacular, like hit a 55-yard plus. He should have hit the field goal.
He should have.
Missed 2.
I saw some stats that kind of made me feel a little bit better because now I can at least spin zone myself into thinking it, and hopefully he does as well. That like the Browns stadium is like the single worst stadium to kick in, like over the past like 20 years. Now a lot of that's from like legitimate crazy wind games and crazy weather games. Today wasn't like that crazy, but still, I have heard that there are some weirdness with like the wind patterns or some other BS like that. So I'm choosing to tell myself that it was just the stadium.
I think he had the wind to his back though for the in that situation. If
I don't care about facts. This is my stance. I've taken it, and you can't deter me. I have a take for you guys. I have a take. I think a profitable take that you can move off of this bet later in the season when it starts to come down to it. Jared Goff, the second it opens up on my book, 30-1, Jared Goff MVP. I started thinking about it. Nobody has really like completely separated themselves, right, in the MVP race. Patrick Mahomes right now is the odds-on favorite, and he has not played that great. I mean, he had a pick on Thursday, looked pretty poopy. He's not throwing for that many yards. It's just his receivers. He doesn't have the same sort of ecosystem to be just putting up crazy numbers all year. Josh Allen, I mean, they have 2 losses. He's looked kind of iffy. Lamar Jackson, that's not going to happen. Jalen Hurts had a pooper today. And typically it goes to the team with the best record, and then it's the quarterback of that team. I think there's a chance that the Niners obviously have the best record in the NFC, but I think that Purdy and CMC are going to cancel themselves out voting-wise. And I started doing a little mulling on schedules. Now, Philly has an extremely difficult schedule. They're playing Miami next week. They have Dallas. They have at Kansas City. They have home Buffalo. They have the Niners. They have another Dallas game, then at Seattle. They have basically the most difficult schedule in the league remaining. So they're going to have a tough time being that number one. The Niners schedule, it's moderate, but Detroit's schedule, listen to this. At Baltimore next week, if they can win that game, then they have home home for the Raiders, at the Chargers, home for the Bears, home for the Packers, at the Saints, home for the Bears, home for the Broncos, at the Vikings, at Dallas, home Vikings. Hardest one is at Dallas. I think that the Lions I think we can kind of lock in the Lions at 13 wins at least.
Are they last year's Eagles? Remember when the schedule came out, we said the Eagles were going to be the number 1 seed, right?
Yeah. It's like that. It is exactly that kind of thing. And their division's so crappy and they get to play them all a bunch. And they just look great. Like, I don't know how many more weeks we need to see it. Their defense looks good. Their offense, it doesn't matter who's out there. And if Goff just keeps putting up like these kind of numbers, not like insane, but they have the best record in the league, he's absolutely going to be top 3 in MVP voting. So
what are the odds on Tua?
30-1 right now. Tua is like plus 650.
Oh, he's pretty up there.
He's pretty up there. All of those guys are up there. But as far as a long shot, Goff is the one.
Pricing is good.
I like that. 30-1. I hope he does get it in some ways, him or CMC. But I mean, I got Goff on my fantasy team, so that'd be good. Man. So next week, Niners got Monday night. What do you do, Larry?
No Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, no Justin Jefferson. But if CMC and Debo are not 100%, let's say they're 75, 80%. They could play, but it's nagging, could re-injure themselves. what do? Do you sit him in this game or do you play him?
I mean, I think you sit your hurt players. If they're hurt and they can't go, then sit them. I mean, today was the Niners came in averaging 402 total yards of offense and were held to 215 yards. They had no Debo. They had no CMC. Trent Williams was less than 100%. They're going against the number one defense. Their quarterback wasn't sharp. But Brandon Ayuk was a huge disappointment. 4 drops. Kittle was a no-show. 1 catch for 1 yard. Ray McLeod equally in a no-show. 1 catch for 4 yards. You got to get more production out of your other guys. And you may want to run Jordan Mason more than 5 times. He averaged 5.4 yards per carry. He was the only running back in the game that averaged over 5 yards a carry, and he only got 5 carries. So I'd feed him the ball. I'd let him see what he can do. And that's and also, you gotta try to force the ball to Brandon. You gotta give Brandon Ayuk another game to bounce back. I mean, you gotta feature Brandon Ayuk, and whoever your healthy players are. But I mean, that's really the problem. I mean, yeah, the Niners this was a all around loss. That's why I was happy to hear guys in the locker room saying that they were covering Jake Moody, because today was not about Jake Moody. It was partly about Jake Moody, but it wasn't like anybody should be puffing out their chest going, man, I was badass. Nobody was badass. McCaffrey got hurt. Mason didn't get very many carries. Debo got hurt. Elijah Mitchell had 2 carries for -3 yards. Ayuk had 4 drops. I mean, Juszczyk, Kittle, Ray, none of these guys did much. Purdy didn't have a good game. You know what I mean? So it's like, the Niners were okay on defense. They allowed 19 points to the Browns, but as we already pointed out, they came in giving up 13 a game. They gave up 19 here. They came in giving up 64 yards on the ground. They give up 160. So to a team that didn't have Nick Chubb. So I think they've, and overall, they just didn't look very sharp. They didn't look very confident. They looked a little gassed. They just didn't look right. And I think that's what happens when one team has such a huge, huge rest advantage. I really believe in that rest. I mean, teams make a big deal over an extra day of preparation. This team had a lot more than an extra day. Now, as far as the Vikings are struggling to run the ball. And they ran the ball today for 2.1 yards per carry on 22 carries. 22 carries for 46 runs. Their number one receiver was TJ Hawkinson. They do have the rookie Jordan Addison, and you better put somebody on him. But, yeah, I think this is a game where the Niners should be able to win and win, decisively. But it's going to be another test for the Niner offensive line. Why? Minnesota had 5 sacks today, and they had 8 hits on the quarterback. Danielle Hunter had 2 sacks by himself and 7 tackles. So, they're going to have to figure out a way to block Minnesota's line and run the ball, maybe shorten the game a little bit, and get some of their weapons involved, whoever's healthy. And if that means you lean on Willie Snead and Tay Martin and your practice squad guys, then do that. Because, today was just, an all-around team defeat. Offense, defense, special teams, coaching, the whole thing.
Larry, I have this is a perfect question for Larry Krueger, because all the backup, linemen, all the random ass players. Of course, you'd think you definitely know all these quarterbacks. Have you ever heard of Tyson Bagent?
Yeah.
You knew who that was?
We mean before today?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He played for Shepherd, and he's actually looked really good this summer. And there were a bunch of people that really liked Tyson Bagent in the draft. He's kind of a resourceful guy. He's not the biggest guy. He's kind of skinny, but he's athletic, and he had a really good preseason. I personally think that Tyson Bagent is going to wind up taking that job away from Justin Fields at some point down the road. Probably not soon, but Tyson Bagent is not just a guy. He's pretty good.
Damn. The Shepherd Rams, D2.
Shepard, yeah.
Larry, earlier
I
today,
didn't watch him in college or anything.
Yeah.
I only, came familiar with him in the draft process. But a bunch of people liked him in the draft process, and then I started watching him. I saw him in a couple of the All-Star games, and he's an athletic kid who's not afraid.
yeah, exactly. One thing we mentioned earlier today in your show, Larry, you talked about trade candidates, and one of the things that we're kind of looking at defensive line, defensive backfield. The strength of the team is linebackers on defense and the D line, but linebackers, there's nobody like Greenlaw and Warner as a tandem. But what we saw today with one of them out, there's a weakness there. There's a big drop off. Is there a linebacker out there that could be had? And one I'm thinking of that, who used to play here in 19, and he's with the Steelers now. Would Quan Alexander be a guy that would fit in as a backup role, that third linebacker?
I mean, they got a lot of good linebackers right now. Flanagan, Fowles, Oren Burks.
Fowles.
Winners. Jalen Graham is going to be a star.
Yeah.
They got some young guys they're trying to develop right now. I mean, it would have to be the right kind of guy. I suggested Jeremy Chin from the Panthers because the Panthers are now 0-6. Chin he was a big part of Steve Wilkes' defense last year, but he's not fit in their defense this year, and he's not playing very much. And he can play nickel corner, he can play safety, and he's got 4.4 speed, he can play linebacker, and Chin to me, could play a lot of different roles. That's the guy that I would target, but there's probably a couple others around the league that that could shake free. But as far as who can they get and that kind of thing, I'm not really sure who's out there and
is Ball,
who's going to be
he's
available.
not on the practice squad anymore, right?
Marcel, no, he got released.
He got released. Who's he with?
He's with the Jets.
That's right. Okay.
But Denver's a team that's looking to move players. I mean, there's a lot of people that think that Alex Singleton could be available. And the Niners and the Broncos have made a bunch of deals. I could see something like that. But I'm not even 100% sure that he's better than their young guys they have. And things, if you go with some younger guys, you got chances that they get bad run fits and big gainers in the run game because, just they guess wrong or whatever. But
what is Greenlaw's injury? Is it week to week or
hamstring?
He's got a hamstring. Yeah, it's a soft tissue issue.
Those things can linger.
You might end up having to wait till he's ready after the bye. You got 2 more games. We saw what a lot of teams. I mean, guys come.
He's a true difference maker. He's a real difference maker.
Yeah,
wasn't he questionable to go in today?
He was, but I heard something late in the week that he kind of aggravated it. So on Friday,
shut him down until after the bye because that thing won't. If he's aggravated it once, it'll keep re-aggravating until you get it right. And that only way to get it right is rest. So
he has a history with soft tissue injuries too, doesn't he? Like the groin. Didn't he have surgery on that groin over the offseason or something?
Yeah.
I'm not up on his groin, but
he was talking about his groin on with the Postgame folks after the.
I do a podcast on Tuesdays. Let's talk groins, and he's going to be.
What do they call that now? They used to call it that. Do they call it an abductor now?
Is that adductor?
Adductor. Okay, adductor. Okay. Yeah.
Loins and groins.
Yeah.
Loins and groins. So
Larry, I was going to ask Larry. The Niners they like Braden Willis. They like Tay Martin. They like Willie Snead. They like Danny Gray. But do they really like them enough to when players like Debo and CMC kind of do go down to actually bring them up and involve them in a game plan? Or are they just kind of there for next year and the years to come? Because I think all those guys can play.
Yeah. And there's always going to be a developmental side to your roster, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, every team in the league has some developmental type players. Last year, Jordan Mason was on that list.
Yeah.
And this year, Jalen Graham. I mean, Jalen Graham's going to be a freaking awesome NFL linebacker. I'll tell you that right now. And that's why they're carrying him. And he's special. He really is. But as far as how much they trust him, I mean, that's why I was suggesting, maybe like a Rondale Moore or somebody like that who, McCole Hardman, because the Niners could use a little bit more explosive weapon to create more space. A lot of the times when you see defenses making big hits on these at the line of scrimmage or in the short and intermediate areas, the hook zones and all that, it's because they don't have to worry about some deep threat. And that's the one thing the Browns did have. I mean, you saw it today. I mean, they got Marquise Goodwin, and Marquise Goodwin's got track and track speed and creates room for Cooper underneath.
At least four plays a year out of him.
Larry, out of those three guys, Martin, Snead, and Gray, who would you have the most confidence in to step into?
Snead.
Willie Snead.
Yeah, Snead had a great camp. Snead's ready to roll. Snead could play right now. Snead could be on somebody's roster making plays. He had a phenomenal camp. He's a veteran. I don't think Gray's ready to go yet. I think he's still beat up a little bit.
Do we have an update on Darrell Luter and Sam Womack? Because, I mean, they're lacking depth in the corner position right now. I mean, their two starters are pretty good. I think Lenore and Ward are borderline top 10 cornerback duo. But, I mean, the depth after that is kind of iffy. You got Ambry Thomas and who else, really?
Yeah, which is why I do believe the reports that John Lynch is looking around the league at available corners, because I think that, the old saying, the secret to coverage is coverage. There is no secret to coverage. It takes legitimate coverage ability and special ability to mirror an NFL receiver up and down and all over the field. So, whether it's Jalen Johnson or Surtain or, DJ Reed or, somebody else, I think they're looking for a more reliable player than what they have. Now, Womack had a good camp. He's probably ready to contribute once he's healthy, but he's got a meniscus, I think. I think that's his injury. And then as far as Luter, they, was on the NFI list with a knee bruise. He looked great in the mini camp, and he's got great size, long arms. But he played at South Alabama, and it's a little bit of a stretch to think that he's just going to be able to step in and play flawlessly right away. But he's definitely, he's part of their future. He's long, he's got long arms, he's going to be here. But as far as how much, when I see all these rumors about Lynch looking around at corners, it makes me think that maybe Luter's injury, maybe they're going to redshirt him this year. Maybe he's not coming back.
Do you see Lynch making the big splash or sort of signing depth?
I think both. I really think he's going to do both. I think they've got, I think they'll make multiple moves. They're firmly inside their Super Bowl window. There's players that they could get for like a 6th-round pick, and then there's players they, could get for a 3rd-round pick. And I think I could see them, or a 2nd-round pick, and I could see them being aggressive. So, if they could get, like, there was talk today that K'Wan Williams might be available. K'Wan Williams would be a nice slot corner. The projection was 6th-round pick. I think Zach Ertz could help this team quite a bit. He was projected to go from Arizona to, I think, Kansas City. Someone said today for a 6th-round pick. So the 49ers have a full complement of picks, and they got $41 million of cap room. I think they'll make more than one move, and definitely I think they'll add to this roster before the deadline.
Could Darren Waller, someone in the chat mentioned Waller, could Darren Waller be had? You think?
I mean,
is he on the block?
I have to look at the money
on
that.
They're 1 in 5, right?
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. It's also about what's your cap figure, what's your money, who's willing to pay your money. I can look up what his cap figure is, but I'm sure.
Also, while you're looking that up, I agree with you regarding the wide receiver speed. I mentioned it to your show today. I remember Kansas City in 19 Super Bowl. They had obviously they had Hill and McCole Hardman, but they also had Sammy Watkins. And those three were it was like a track meet. Those guys were running all over the field, and you couldn't contain all three of them at the same time. One of the things about the Niners receivers, Jennings is great possession receiver. Debo is a guy that can run after the catch, but they're not guys that get down and really beat guys off the ball and the only guy that really does that has great moves is in my opinion, is Ayuk. He's the true receiver. I see Debo more as a kind of a gadget guy. He's a receiver, but he's not. He's great on the slant, but he doesn't get you down the field open like Ayuk does. You need at least two guys, in my opinion, that you could go to that are deep threats or threats to get wide open. And you saw that a lot with the Chiefs offense. And this year, you see him kind of struggling. I mean, Rye, you brought it up earlier. Mahomes isn't having a great year. Those receivers look like they're not in sync with him. It almost looks like the Packers last year with Aaron Rodgers, with all these rookies.
It's actually bizarre. Like their defense, I mean, they have a top 4 defense in the league, which is usually they don't figure out their defense till the end of the year. And then, I mean, if you look at like Mahomes will throw for 250 yards and you'll look at the box score and Kelsey has 70. And then it's just a bunch of guys with 30. It's like Rashee Rice, 5 targets, 4 catches, 28 yards. And then, you just keep going down the list. It's Sky Moore turns out to be a bust, I guess. And yeah.
And
Ronnie Bell's a dog, Dan. He needs to develop a little more, but he's a good route runner and he gets
I love Ronnie Bell. Yeah.
But again, we got to develop him
but he's another guy who's kind of a possession guy with, if you're looking to, add somebody who's a true, it really depends. I mean, I really think that wide receivers, it really matters that you complement the other wide receivers, right? Because you're running your patterns, and you've got to complement one another, and everybody can't run the same patterns. So I love Rondale Moore from the standpoint he played in the Big Ten, he's played in some cold weather. He's got a $1.8 million cap hit. He's only got.
Is he available? Like that's you keep saying. Like I mean, Rondale Moore would be unbelievable in this offense. Like, is he?
I mean,
available?
I've seen him rumored in some of the. I don't know, right? Because I'm not talking to Arizona's executives or anything, but he's not a premier guy. I mean, they've got Hollywood Brown. There's a lot of talk coming out of Arizona. And the names I've seen are Ertz and Rondale Moore and Beachum, the offensive tackle, as guys that could be available.
Rondale Moore would be literally the perfect guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they need a guy like that. I mean,
there aren't a lot of trades in the NFL, but I think this year you may see a few because there's so many teams angling for those top quarterbacks, and so they either want, high picks or which the Niners don't have, or they want a bevy of picks that they can turn into high picks. So I think, you're looking, there's a number of teams that will be looking for, more draft capital. Heck, I saw a rumor today that teams were calling the Commanders about Terry McLaurin and that the Commanders are probably not going to wind up moving him. But as we get closer to the end of the month, which is just 2 weeks away, we'll see where teams are. I just looking at the NFL right now, I would say the teams that are probably interested in making moves would be Patriots. They look like they're probably done. Maybe Tennessee, maybe Denver, maybe New York Giants, maybe the Chicago Bears, maybe Carolina, maybe Arizona. Everybody else is pretty much still very much in it.
I'd take Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, he'd be nice.
That's a good name. I like that name. They're utilizing Curtis Samuel a lot.
Yeah, why is he scoring? He scores touchdowns every week. It's annoying.
Yep.
I keep thinking Jahan Dotson's going to break out, and he just never does.
I dropped Jahan Dotson. 4 weeks was enough.
He's a landmine.
So what's your guys' prediction? It's early. There's a lot to come out still. Injury reports, more injuries could come out during the rest of the week. We don't know what Minnesota's injury report looks like. They beat a bad Bears team today. Niners get an extra day. They'll probably Larry, what will they do? Travel on Saturday sometime late morning to Minnesota?
Yeah. Or no, Friday afternoon probably.
For a Monday game?
Oh, it's Monday. That's right. Yeah, well, they could still travel Friday afternoon or Friday evening or maybe Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Um,
So what do you guys what do you think going into this game? We may not have CMC. Let's assume they don't have CMC and Debo. What do you think? Niners. What do you think the line would be? Niners plus 4.
well, I mean,
5?
okay. I mean, I think you can. I think you gotta have as far as what's the line going to be. I can tell you what the line is actually.
I bet it's Niners -6.
I just had this today. Let me just go check this.
The Vikings beat the Bears, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they don't have Jefferson, which will sway that.
Here's the line. The line is
5.5. I'm gonna guess
6.5.
Oof.
6.5.
Niners
Yes.
minus 6.5.
Yes, Ryan.
They were 9.5 today, though.
On the look ahead.
No, he means against the Browns.
Oh, well, yeah, but that's because of DTR. I mean, not DTR. Walker, Texas
PJ
Ranger.
Walker.
Texas
Yeah.
Walker. PJ. Yeah.
And because the Niners had a huge win over the Cowboys, the nation saw. But once again, I mean, that's why this was. I took the Niners today on the teaser, so I had Niners -2. So even
Look
if
at
they
this.
made that field goal, I was going to
the
lose.
chat grows.
What's up?
What's up, Sean?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Proctor.
What's up, Ryan?
Yo.
Larry? Lowe's?
Sean?
War?
Hey, this is kind of like Hollywood
Great.
Squares almost. We need 2 more.
Brady Bunch. It's like the Brady Bunch. Somebody explained to the guy up top what the Brady Bunch was. It was a show that was.
Bora.
Yeah, Bora. The
We
Brady
got Bora.
Bunch.
Bora looks.
There
like
was a
Elvis.
lovely lady, and she had 3 girls of her own. And she married this guy. He had 3 boys.
His
Okay,
name was Brady.
and his name was Brady. He was an architect.
I watched a couple episodes. I'm not that young.
We call
Bobby,
Bora Bora
Cindy.
2004 in our fantasy league because that's the year he was born, 2004.
2004.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's still.
So
Wow.
We
So this
actually-
is a man who we know wasn't pissed about the 2002 Giants collapse in the World
Nope.
Series.
Yeah.
we
By the way, I've
Thank God
I've-
you didn't see that.
I have Sabes and Coletti on tomorrow, and I'm trying to debate: do I bring up Game 7 of the 2002 World Series?
or
Have
game
to.
6.
You got to, right?
You have to. Larry.
You can
have to.
swear. You can swear on YouTube.
Game 6, Larry, is the one.
Yeah, game 6. Like,
Jeez.
Jesus
Brian, when
Christ.
Dusty took the ball from Russ Ortiz, and then he gave it to him as a souvenir, what were you thinking watching that from your suite? You know,
That's why he wasn't back in 2003.
right.
I made up my mind right then. I said, if we blow this game and go on to lose this, Dusty's gone. Oh, man. One good question you might ask, and maybe you already have, is
That hasn't started yet, Danny. It starts
I
tomorrow.
know,
at 4.
I'm talking about in the past. I'm talking about previous. Did the winning 3 take away any of the sting of that blowing that 2002?
Something's going to tell me for Ned it didn't, since he was in LA. But seriously. Do you think more about the 3 you won or the 1 you lost?
That 02 was really hard. 02 was tough.
Yeah, it
Oh.
was.
Very hard.
2000 was tough. 2000 was tough, losing to the Mets. Benny Agbayani, but 1 hit by Bobby Jones. That was pretty.
87.
Here's a question.
87 was tough. Losing
If
to St.
if they
Louis.
if they got it done in 2002, would there have been a 10, 12, and 14?
Oh.
Never know.
Never know.
Uh-huh.
But that's the other question is was there a chance that, because I was reading both their bios and everything, Peter McGowan before the 2007 season came out and basically said that all of the Giants employees were under the gun. What if we're on the hot seat? He said all SF Giants employees were on the hot seat prior to 2007. That was the year Giants didn't re-sign Barry Bonds after 2007. What if they got rid of Sabes before he ever got to 2010? Because the Giants had some freaking lean years. I was looking at the
05 through 8 were horrible.
05, 75 and 87, 06, 76 and 85, 07, 71 and 91, Boch's first year, 08, 72 and 90.
Yeah. Then they started winning.
They didn't turn it around until 2009
Yeah,
when Buster
86 and
Buster
76.
showed up.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. I see in the chat, Senior says, have the Giants interviewed Donnie Ecker? I don't think yet because he's with Texas and
You know who
probably
they
can't
have
interview him.
interviewed?
Stop, Laura. Don't even go there.
How about Stephen
man.
Vaught? Stephen
You guys already
Vaught.
talk about it?
Just kind of bizarre.
Don't do it.
No, we haven't even got into it.
Hey, I'll go there. I can go there.
You go there.
Oh.
That's
No,
why I called you.
hey,
That's why I called.
Look, they interviewed Mark Hallberg. They interviewed Kai Correa, and they interviewed Alyssa Nacken. Now, here's
And
the
Stephen
thing.
Vaught, apparently.
Stephen Vogt, the catcher.
They did
Okay.
interview Vote?
Yeah.
They did. So he is
Okay.
officially a candidate.
I
Now-
vote
Well,
for
that's
Vogt.
I'll say that's exciting.
Yeah,
That is exciting.
Like
Yeah.
Vogt.
that's a
I'll
good
tell you
one.
what. If they hire any one of those 3 internal candidates, they might as well, just.
Hallberg's Posey's buddy, though.
I know. I just think there's no. I'm not thrilled with. I think he's a great guy. I just don't think he's ready to be a manager. Correa is definitely not ready to be a manager. And I'm sorry, I don't know if the Alyssa Nacken interview is for publicity or if they're serious, because I don't think they're serious. I really don't. I mean,
How is that publicity? That's horrible publicity
It's a
to
joke.
have. I mean, come on.
First of all, let me push back on
He's
this.
going to defend Sac State for sure.
Let me push back on this.
You know
She
he is.
works for you, and if
She'd be
she's
the only one
interested,
willing to
if
take a
she's
one-year
interested in the
contract.
position, and she works for you, I almost think you're obligated to interview her. And
under-
you know
under
what?
The law, yeah.
If you interview her, I think that's good. That's good. It sends the right message
What if they hire
that
her?
you're going to turn over at every stone.
Equal opportunity employers.
But as far as everybody knows, she doesn't have managerial experience. I mean, Dusty got the job without major league managerial experience, but he played in the big leagues for 20 years or whatever.
Larry,
So-
what if they hire her?
Hiring her at this point would be a wild thing. It would be wild because she has no experience.
I'll say this: it's better than when Schefter reported that the Browns were interviewing Condoleezza Rice for their head coach position. that was horseshit.
I'll tell you
is
this.
legit.
I would rather see the Giants hire Alyssa Nacken as manager than Kai Correa, just because there'll just be so much more to talk about. I think she's really a nice person.
I've never interviewed her before, so I really have no idea. She
I'm
did
not
go
gonna
to Sac
there.
State.
I could say I'm not going to.
She's.
I'll tell you off air.
She's really well liked by the players. I know that.
Can she lead them?
She's respected by the
Yes,
players.
exactly. Can she lead?
I
Can
think
she lead
she's.
them for an entire season? Can she-
I just think she's. Her personality is too nice. She's very sweet, nice person. I don't see her as one that could really get really fired up when that might be necessary.
Yeah, you
so-
gotta be hard ass sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you do.
motivator.
And I just think she's just a super nice person, and she's got a new baby. I don't know how she could.
Oh, she's
Really-
a new mother?
Yeah, she's a new mother.
No. She's
Or
pregnant.
She's gonna be a new mother.
Pregnant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Oh.
But you know what? I agree, Larry. If she's interested in the job,
Absolutely.
you have to. I mean, in
Oh
a
my God.
corporation, you have
Absolutely.
to. Somebody wants to apply, you can't
Oh, absolutely.
deny them.
Go through the process.
Well,
I mean,
and it sends the right message, right?
Maybe
It sends the right message. It's saying to everybody that you're forward thinking, you'll consider everybody, you're open minded, you're progressive. These are all positive things. I don't, to me, I if she wants to interview for the job, I think she should have that opportunity to interview for the job. I only think she should get the job if she's the best candidate. I'm just glad I don't have to make that determination.
My guess is it's an interview for the future, possibly of her maybe down the line becoming a manager and giving her the experience internally of having interviewed for the job.
If she were a serious managerial candidate right now, okay, she would be working right now, probably in the fall league as a manager, right? Dusty, when the Giants hired Dusty, he went and worked in the fall league. Why? Because he had no experience. He had no experience in the dugout. So, I don't know, is she managing in the fall league?
No.
So that's where it would start, right? It would start managing in the fall league. Then you'd probably do, managing in the minor leagues for a year or two. And there's guys pay their dues and manage. How many years did Ron Wotus manage in the minor leagues?
Jeez.
20?
Many. And has he been interviewed internally yet?
Does he want to? Does he even want the job?
I heard he was.
May not.
That's a job that if I was trying to get the job, and let's say I was qualified, which I'm not, but I would want a 3-year minimum contract. I don't care if Farhan has a 1 year. I'm not taking anything less than a 3-year. And anybody who's worth their salt is going to want a 3-year contract. And are the Giants willing to give a 3-year contract to some manager that, if Farhan is out after next year, may want to bring in their own manager? I think it's just sending a wrong message. I think they should have restarted the whole thing, should have just cleaned house. You know what? We're doing the Lynch Shanahan thing. We're starting a fresh new thing, and we're going to, build it together. It's just, I don't know. The idea that Farhan is making this decision just infuriates me.
Well, think about Sabian and Coletti, who I'm having on tomorrow. Ned hired Grady Little, and then he hired Joe Torre, post Yankees. Brian hired Dusty originally, then Felipe,
right,
then Boch. What do all those people pretty much have in common outside of Dusty? Major experience managing in the dugout, right? Lots and lots and lots of games. Felipe had done a ton of it. Boch had done a ton of it. And Grady Little had managed in Boston. Joe Torre had won in New York. Those guys, obviously told you by who they hired that they valued experience. So somebody says Mark DeRosa. Mark DeRosa's glib. He's an interesting guy, but once again, no experience.
Oh, he managed the USA baseball team.
Yeah, that's no experience.
Yeah,
and that's basically no experience at all. That's like an 8-game schedule or something.
but he did play in the league.
Yeah, he played. But I mean, if he really wants to be a manager, don't go from the MLB Network to an 8-game stint and then think you're going to be a major league manager. Go navigate a minor league season. And because one of the things, it's one thing to do it like somebody, I want to be a talk show host. Yeah, you can. Could I do it? Yeah, you can do it tonight, and you can do it tomorrow night. But can you do it every night for 3 months and not repeat yourself and not contradict yourself and not blah blah blah? And retain the audience and build it. No, it takes. There's more than doing it. This is a sport that's played every day. Gabe Kapler had barely any experience when the Giants hired him. Look at what Gabe Kapler did in Philadelphia. He was .500 a couple of years. His teams died in September. That should have told the Giants that, you know what? At the end of a long year, this guy wears like shit, and And you know what? Their teams stop playing for him, or he loses his effectiveness in September. But they didn't learn that lesson. They had to go touch the burner and find out it was hot. Now they did. They found out it was hot, and they moved on from Kapler. So to me, I'd be looking for somebody who's got you already have taking enough chances. You have to get a proven entity in the dugout. No more dabbling on resumes. He's very smart. No. Show me minor league seasons or major league seasons of experience. That would be my prerequisite. That's why, as much as I like DeRosa, I would not.
ABB in the best I've had in San Francisco. Smoke. Really dripping with flavor. The soft shell crab tacos pack real crunch. Nobody's number 2. Straight total.
Nobody's number 2.
Jalapeno chips, the perfect spicy complement. And that's a smoky Scotch cocktail with just the right amount of maple syrup to balance the smoke.
Just enough.
I thought we would never see that.
I'd give that pork chop a 65.
So glad that guy is gone. Oh my goodness.
That is a beautiful thing.
That's one thing I feel like maybe NorCal Sports Network played a very small
bit helping.
Just a small part in
just a scotch.
Yeah, I mean, just because we were talking about it for months before
we talk
everybody else
shit
was
every night.
and maybe some others caught on. And I know Larry was banging the same drum, which was heard much more than our little drum set. But at least we got that. We didn't get the.
You guys got it to the goal line, man. I just pushed it over the goal line.
The Philly push, man. Can we get the Philly push on Farhan too? Because that's the guy I really want gone. I mean,
I told you to go pick it outside of Oracle. I'll fly back and do it.
Hey, can we see Farhan again?
No.
Come on, man. That was so classic. That was classic. Do we have that?
Great. Yeah, I'll find it. I'll go find it.
Go find that. That was classic. You got to put that. You got to put that on, man. This guy.
Oh man,
this guy looked just like Farhan. We'll go back in time about 2 weeks ago here shortly as Eric, the board op, pulls that up. But so Sean, did you win any big money today or?
Today was a rough day.
Rough day.
Yeah.
A lot of favorites went down.
I had I bet some real disgusting bets. Like I bet the Bears +3.
Oh, I like that. I like that too. And I just didn't touch it.
Yeah, I bet it heavy, Larry. And I had the Colts +4. And
I could have told you. Should have told me that one. I had Jacksonville on that.
It was an all-time spot. They were in London for 2 weeks and then coming home.
Yeah.
And then
I felt like they were coming back though on a high though. When you win 2 games in London and you got a big long flight, that's a happy flight.
Well, look what happened to Buffalo. Buffalo came back too. They look like shit.
They did.
Yeah. Did you have college ball yesterday?
I don't bet college football.
No. See, yesterday I took Utah against Cal.
Definitive.
And I took Iowa against Wisconsin on the 2-teamer and covered. So I rolled that into today, and I went with Dolphins and Niners on the tees.
Ooh.
And the Dolphins, of course, covered easy in the
Dolphins.
Niners.
The bet was when they were down 14 rip to bet them live. That was
I should have done that. Doggone it.
That's what I did that too. Hammered.
What
was it at that point?
I got it at 2.5.
Oh, nice 2.5?
Yeah.
Last night on our pre-game post or our review of the Niners, we went through each game. That was my guaranteed lock. Pick them, take the spread, take Miami. They're going to blow them out. Which when Los texted me and says it's 14-0, I'm like, oh crap! I got him in my not only on the line, but I got him in my survivor pool too.
Who do you guys got tomorrow night? Cowboys, Chargers.
Oh,
I got Chargers.
+2.5 all day long.
Yeah.
It's -1.5 now. It's Dallas -1.5.
Yeah, I bet him at 2.5. I also am going to fucking hammer the Astros. And
no.
I took the Rangers tonight.
No, I took the Rangers and the under parlay. That was awesome. But tomorrow the Astros aren't losing both games at home. There's no.
Come on, the
Okay,
Rangers haven't
Sean.
lost yet.
Sean, I don't
know.
know
The
if you saw
Rangers.
him.
I don't think I'd go against the Rangers, Sean, until the Rangers lose.
Of
That's
all-
tomorrow. And
Sean,
then-
Sean, do you hedge? If you're me, I've got $50 to win 900 on the Rangers to make the World Series.
I told you yes.
And then
no.
Yeah,
No, they're going to make it. They're going to
think so?
play the Phillies, and I'm pretty sure the Phillies are going to win. The Phillies look like the team of destiny.
And-
No,
okay, so
no. The AL team is going to win.
I'm going with
Well,
the
I mean,
Rangers.
I want the L team to win. I want Boch to win another one right up the Giants' ass.
Okay,
But-
so
I mean,
would you
first
hedge
of all,
the Super Bowl,
you've seen
or-
the Giants go down this road with Boch.
Yeah.
When he gets a club locked in, they beat Tampa 2 straight. They beat Baltimore 3 straight.
Mhm.
They just beat Houston.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. If I would go with the Astros, I think I would. It's Eovaldi Valdez. You have that much belief in Fromber to get it done?
I don't see. I'm just playing a narrative. I'm just playing a narrative of them and Dusty not letting his team lose the first 2 at home. But the bet I really like is Philly tomorrow.
Yeah.
Galen on the road or
I think
Zach
Philly
Zach
probably
Allen
gets
on the
that-
road is not
I
his
think
home.
Philly
road
probably gets
terrible.
that done in 5.
What?
Philly's on fire.
Philly
Yeah.
gets that done in 5.
Yeah, Phillies are ridiculous.
Yeah,
Phillies are ridiculous.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm gonna hold strong,
I got
not
it,
hedge. But then I also have a World Series 50 to win like 1,800 on the
Perfect.
Rangers, and if
Perfect.
that happens, then I'm actually gonna hedge with the Phillies.
Yeah,
'cause
you should hedge
that's-
on Philly.
Why
Yeah.
not hedge? Why not put like I suggest, just put 100 down on
because
the
it's like it's not.
Astros.
It's just like
You only win
$100.
900.
But you'd probably win what, about 90?
It's
You'd
pointless.
probably win more now because the
90
odds are
bucks.
probably
If
favor
you're
the
so
Rangers.
confident
since
in
they're
the
1 up.
Rangers winning tomorrow, just wait until they win tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't know.
Are you
What
ready
can you
for this,
get right
Dan?
now in the Rangers to win the World Series?
They're the favorites. They were the favorites before this round.
What is it?
3-1.
Rangers favorite over the of the
Nice.
Final Four?
Mm-hmm.
You think it's because Scherzer's back?
Probably because of Boch. Probably because of the fact they're undefeated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're,
Play
That
it.
lineup's tough. They hit 1 through 9. Oh,
they're playing very cohesive ball.
Super fun to watch with the pitch clock. I gotta say, the game just zoom on by. Literally, they were in the 7th inning, and it was halftime of the Bills Giants
I
game.
know. It's nice. Okay, here we go. A couple weeks ago, Los talking about Farhan.
here we go.
Or the team.
Oh, brother.
It's disgusting. And
Farhan would say, are you sure that I said that, Dan?
Well, what-
are you,
well,
are
um,
you not
well-
paraphrasing? Are you sure you're not paraphrasing that, Dan?
that's a good one, Los. Put those glasses on. Here, put these on right here.
Dan, are you sure?
Oh, there we go.
You guys were on fire that night. Jeez.
Needless to say, the show needed a pick me up.
Yeah.
I mean,
They ask him a really tough question, and he's like, no, actually, I've been watching this show on Hulu, The Bear. And he just like goes into this
I
fucking
know.
cooking show. And you're like, answer the question, dickhead. What are you talking about a show on Hulu because you don't know how to answer the tough question that someone actually asked you one tough question? That guy's a clown. Absolute clown talking about The Bear in that dugout press conference.
Oh man, that was an all timer though, man. When you took that hat off,
Oh,
oh man, you had the Farhan look. Oh, it was great.
Wait, so did any of you guys bet on the Sunday night game? Because that's I cleaned up finally, just cleaned up today, and I did the classic because I made all that money doing the -2.5 with the Dolphins. I tried to pull the same thing in the Sunday night game, and I just put my whole balance on oh, of course the Bills are going to win by 6.5. Are you kidding me? Giants aren't even going to score a touchdown, and the Giants didn't score a touchdown, it still didn't hit.
Ouch.
Had they made that final field goal, they would have been
Yes.
up by what, 7, 8?
What the hell was that performance?
what I would say, here's the thing.
London.
This is one thing I really, it's my new philosophy on this. If a spread seems wrong to you,
Go the other way.
go with it, not against it. You know what I'm saying? If you're like Bills Giants, oh my God, 6.5? No way.
The line was 15.
15.5.
It was 15.5.
15.5.
I got it live at 6.5. I felt like I was like,
Well, if did you watch
smartest
the
guy in
game?
world. Yeah.
Yeah. So you would have seen that the Bills were completely out of sorts.
Yeah. Well, no, it's what happens is teams. This is the other thing. Nobody's going to talk about this tomorrow, but teams play up and down to their opponents. I mean,
just the Bills
why do you think
like,
the Eagles? If the Eagles play the Jets 10 times, they beat the Jets 9 times, but they lost today. The Niners played the Browns 10 times, they probably beat the Browns 8 times, but they lost today.
It's just the Bills are traditionally like one of those teams that are just the bullies. Like Josh,
but they're
Allen.
awesome at home. It's a great home team.
I'm sure you guys already talked about it, but I thought the biggest takeaway.
Oh, they were at home tonight. They still freaking barely won. No, I thought that was at MetLife.
That was at MetLife, wasn't it?
No,
Yeah,
it was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
It was in Buffalo?
I was in Buffalo. Yeah,
I don't know
because
if you guys-
the Jets were at home against the Eagles.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you guys talked about in the Niners game because I missed the first half of the show, but I thought in my opinion, the biggest glaring hole was the loss of Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah.
Did you notice in the middle of the field, they had their way with whatever the fuck they wanted. And those are, I mean, obviously Fred Warner was flying all over the place, but Greenlaw was definitely missed in that game. What do you think?
Well, Hargrave and Armstead got pushed back, and they usually occupy and penetrate to allow the linebackers to flow. They didn't do it this game.
Well, they got a couple of huge chunk runs.
Cleveland's both lines are for real.
Yeah, I noticed Cleveland was in the backfield a lot, and the Niners only a few times, especially on a lot of the pass rushes. They had lots of time. Do you think Wilkes needs to send more guys, more blitzing? Because it seems like he's just rushing the 4 a lot and then playing man.
I thought the defense was fine today.
Well,
I think they were just on the field. They were on the field for 33 minutes, and
they should have dominated way bigger because Posich was hurting and Batonia was out. The right tackle's a rookie. I mean, the Niners, you would have thought on paper would have had a big old party in the backfield, and it just didn't happen. It just did not happen. They put an extra guy on Bosa's side. They neutralized him.
What they have sacks by Bosa and Gregory. Did they have anybody else have sacks?
No, just those two.
No.
Those two guys.
Did you see the Cooper play? Somebody tweeted, and it was like the aerial view that Lenore just fell down on that super long Cooper gainer. He literally just fell down.
The 58-yarder.
Yeah.
But also
Lenore's
Cooper had that amazing
really
catch. How about the amazing? Cooper's got crazy ball skills.
Yeah.
He's a little bit Chris Carter-esque.
Oh, he's got hops.
Cowboys got rid of him for like a 5th or 6th.
He got up like Jordan on that one on the sideline and got both feet in bounds.
Oh, he's just a great.
And
wide
I almost
receiver.
had him. I was 1 minute away.
That was a hell of a catch.
I mean, that's the one thing. I mean, here's the question I would have. The Niners, when they talk about, making additions to their team, they always talk about, well, we don't want to do something unless it's a difference maker. Okay, so of the guys that are available, who is a difference maker? I would say Danielle Hunter, Brian Burns, right? Those guys are difference makers.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Surtain, that guy's a difference maker. And the only other difference maker I see that's rumored to be out there is Devontae Adams. Would you trade for Devontae Adams?
No.
Would Judy be a difference maker with the Niners?
No,
I don't think Judy's a jag.
He's not. No.
Did you guys watch that? Did you see the Steve Smith breakdown?
Yeah.
No.
Oh my god!
I saw it on Twitter, but I didn't click on
my
it.
god, Larry, did you see that?
Yeah. I mean, Steve Smith always tells you exactly how he feels.
He eviscerated Jerry Jeudy about being a jag, just a guy.
Right.
And
Really?
He kind of, I mean, they have this whole.
A lot of people are not impressed by his toughness or lack thereof.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Devontae Adams, was a borderline unstoppable force when he played with Rodgers. Now, not so much. What's his cap number? Let me see what Devontae's pulling.
What are you gonna have to give up to get him though?
Yeah, the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are going to throw away their season unless they.
He's got a $6 million base salary. He's got a $14.7 million cap hit. Yeah.
Well, aren't they 3-3 now?
Yeah, they're 3-3 with no Jimmy G.
We just talked about Judy, and I'm thinking of all these Alabama receivers in the last 10 12 years. You've had Judy, you got Devontae Smith.
Ridley's damn
Killer.
good.
Baby Killer Ruggs.
We just talked about Amari Cooper,
Waddle.
Ridley. Who's the best Alabama receiver to come out in the
Julio.
last 10, 12
Julio
years?
Jones.
Julio Jones. Yeah. I mean, he was great for what? 3 years?
No. He was great for
Longer
like
than
8
that.
years.
Was it longer than that? Seems like
Yeah.
he was only at
He
this
was pretty
peak for
dominant.
about
No,
3
he's
years. But he's, yeah.
Dan,
I
he was
love
a first-
Judy
Dan, he was a
in
first round
college.
pick for like 4 years.
What's that?
I love Judy in college. Ridley's pretty damn good though too.
Let me put it in fantasy terms for you. He was a first round pick for like 4 years.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's interesting to see because the LSU guys, I mean, JJ, OBJ, who else came out of LSU?
Jamar.
Jefferson.
Oh, wait, not
I
Jamar.
mentioned JJ. Yeah.
Wait, did Jamar?
Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, that's right. I mean, I think they've been, those guys, Chase and Jefferson are what would you say? Both healthy. They're 1-2 in the league, right?
Like Dan-
1-2, 2-3.
Tyreek
That's what-
has got to be
that's-
up there.
Every once in a while, you just have to remind yourself that there was a football team with a college football team with Joe Burrow and his two receivers were Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
Chase was a sophomore in that incredible national title team. He was awesome that year.
Like what the like? That's shocking.
Well, that was unbelievable team. Was that the best college football team you've seen with Burrow and Chase?
I've ever
and-
seen.
I think it was.
I mean, SC when they had Reggie Bush and Dwayne Jarrett and all those
Lendell
guys.
White,
Yeah, Lendell White. They had all kinds of guys. I mean,
Mike Williams.
there's been some awesome Oklahoma. I mean, Miami, the Hurricanes when they had Jerome Brown and all those guys back in the
Those Hurricane teams were filthy.
Wasn't
really
Ed
deep.
Reed on the Hurricanes too?
Ed Reed. But I mean, he was a little bit later, but they're some of their teams with Jimmy Johnson in the late '80s were incredible.
Yeah.
Barry Switzer. How about the Tommy Frazier, team in college at Nebraska? He was amazing.
Oh, yeah. That was a great team. But who do you think? I mean, did you see the Washington? I know you did, Larry. We were talking about the Washington-Oregon game. What a game that was.
I pushed on that. I took Washington -3. I watched that for 3.5 hours and then pushed.
How ironic is it that the Pac-12 is dissolving, and this may be the best conference from top to bottom in college football, and the Pac-12 hasn't had this in the last 15 years.
Because
And
it's
that-
not the football side that's letting everybody down. It's the lack of passion outside of like 3 or 4 spots for college football on the West Coast. That nobody cares about Stanford football. They don't draw flies.
I know.
Nobody goes for the most part to a lot of these games, and there's no urgency. In Alabama, everybody in the entire state has an opinion on that game. Same thing in Georgia about the Dogs, whether you went there or not.
Yep.
It's pro sports in
Louisiana,
those
same
places.
thing.
Here,
It is
pro sports.
on there.
Here, we're into pro sports. There's Niners here, so people are not into Cal. They're not into Stanford.
Right.
And they're probably not into Arizona. You're in Arizona. I mean, are people walking around going, "Damn those Sun Devils, Wildcats"? I mean, maybe more than here, but nothing
Not
compared
like
to
it
like.
What about for
SEC.
maybe for hoops?
Not even really hoops here. It was a big, Arizona was a big college town when Frank Cush, before the Cardinals were here. ASU was huge.
Oh, when they had Pat Tillman, Jake Plummer, and those guys, they had upset Nebraska.
They were huge. But,
Good baseball program too.
Arizona's a lot of transients, a lot of people from all over the country. So nobody's really down and heavy with each team. But
I mean, you could have a primetime show on the Pac-12 network, and you could walk down the street in every major city on the West Coast, and nobody would say, "Hey, how you doing, man? I watch your show."
all right, so we're sitting here like in week 5 of college football, 5, 6, whatever it is. Let me get your predictions. Who's going to be the 4 playoff teams this year? It's early, but that's why it's good to ask to do it now. Who do you got?
Oh,
Bora?
God, it's still so
Let me
early.
pull it up. Give me a second. Come back to me.
All right. I'm going to go Georgia. I think Michigan gets in there. I'm going to go Washington, but they'll probably get knocked off by somebody in the Pac-12, and then
A one-loss Pac-12 team can make it this year.
Yeah, only a one loss, but although I think Oregon may be the better team, but I love Pennick, so I got. I'm going to finally the Pac-12, and the last year is going to get a representative. So I'm going
Penix, by the way.
I'm
Penix.
not so.
yeah.
Dan,
So
what about
Washington, Georgia?
one of Oklahoma or Texas?
I mean, Michigan's going
I'm
to play
gonna say-
Ohio State, okay?
Yeah.
And Penn State plays Ohio State this week.
Yep, 4.5.
So
point
what if Penn State beats Ohio State and Michigan,
Loses.
loses to Ohio State?
Yeah, then you got.
Then it might be Penn State, Washington, Georgia.
I'm going to say Texas comes back and beats Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship and gets one of the spots.
Well, also Florida State just has that cakewalk schedule, and they're probably just going to go undefeated.
They're a fluke.
Yeah.
And they're hardly world beaters, man. They were
Oh
life
my
and death
God.
early this year to beat LSU.
To beat Boston College, I think they won by 2.
Hey,
I'll say this: I love college football and I watch it all the time. The most boring conversation of life is who's going to wind up in the playoff. The playoff bores the hell out of me. I don't care. College football to me, I like it for the players and the pageantry and the different. As far as this whole we're in it to see who wins it all, I could give a crap who wins it all. I really don't. I don't care at all.
By the time
I'll watch it on
comes
New Year's
around,
Eve, but you know what I mean. It's like
I miss just the old ball.
It's just
I
a
miss
series
the
of
old
games.
bowl games, and just
The expanded playoffs is going to be actually super lit, though.
When is
The
that
expanded
going?
playoffs will be really
Are they
good.
going to 8 or 16?
12, right?
12?
12.
When is that coming?
But not till 2026.
Okay.
Is it, it's 2026.
Or is it 24?
It might be next year. Wait.
No, I think it's 26.
That'd be kind of cool.
If you could attend one college football venue, what would it be?
Big house.
That's a great question.
I've been to Texas A&M and I've been to Alabama.
Big house.
Have you guys seen the intro
My
at
brother played at
Vatech?
Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Sandman?
Sandman, yeah.
Enter
The Enter Sandman, the Metallica intro.
Nice.
I mean, that is just ridiculous. I would say I've been to a couple spots that are just crazy. I've been to Clemson, South Carolina. That's unbelievable.
Baton Rouge, LSU.
That's an unbelievable place.
Kyle
Kyle Field, where A&M plays.
I've been there. That's an amazing. I saw Alabama play Alabama there. That is a.
I'd probably go with the big house because you're talking about Michigan, 108,000 or something like that.
Yeah, my brother played there when he was at Cal at Michigan. I think he was a freshman or sophomore. Cal got routed, but
I wouldn't mind going to Notre Dame.
I was just gonna say I've always been partial to Notre Dame.
I want to go to LSU for like an Alabama week.
Night game in LSU.
Night game.
That's an expensive ticket, let me tell you.
I don't know if I can do it as a sober guy now, though.
Go to Penn State.
Let me ask you this. Mario Cristobal, you guys all heard what Miami blew the game last week. If he was coaching at name a university would have fired him. Name a university that would have fired him after that game. Anybody?
Shepherd.
Michigan. Any SEC school.
Cal Poly would have ran his ass out.
No, but would a school like Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, would the pressure been on to run him out?
Depending on how much he's making.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just an all-time. I mean, you didn't learn watching the Joe Pisarcich game with the Giants and the Eagles when Herman Edwards picked up the ball and ran it in. That's what created take a knee. And the guy, all he had to do is take a knee. I mean, I'm still like, how do you get a head coaching job in a Power 5 conference and there's less than 40 seconds to go and you just got to take what are you thinking? I just don't get it. You were undefeated, and now you've lost 2 in a row, and your season is probably on the brink of just being completely lost.
Hey, I have a controversial one that I think all of you guys would be great at discussing. And I think, okay, so there's a lot of talk all of a sudden about, oh my God, regular season baseball doesn't even matter anymore. You know, you can win 100 games and you're just all of a sudden you're out in a week and all that kind of crap.
Not to interrupt you, Ryan, but they had this. One thing about baseball is that days off are not good. A day off is good. Making all these top teams sit out a bunch of games actually hurts them. I can remember when the Tigers lost the World Series and they had crushed the A's in the ALCS in 4 straight. Cardinals went to 7 games in the NLCS. They got into the World Series against the Cardinals. They were 10 times better than the Cardinals, and the Cardinals beat them with La Russa managing over Leland because they were just sharper, and the Tigers got stale.
Or something? Was that 06?
06, 07, somewhere in there. But this year, they got to change that rule where those teams that win all are like, because Atlanta should have been a World Series.
I think it's the extra day.
I came up with a plan on this, and I put it out there. Probably will go nowhere, but my feeling is this: the top 2 seeds should count for something in 162 games. You're playing. I mean, you're playing a hell of a long season, and to get that 1 seed and 2 seed for a bye, you should make it very difficult for a 3 through 6 seed. Because, hey, look, let's face it, a 6 seed and a 5 seed didn't even belong in the playoffs years ago. So this is what you do. You make it tough for those teams. The season ends on a Sunday. You start the playoffs Monday. And you know what? If there's a makeup game to be made, they don't do playoffs anymore. If there's a makeup game, then you start it Tuesday. But start it Monday, you play Tuesday and Wednesday, if necessary. If you finish up on Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, you start the playoffs on Wednesday. If you finish, it goes 3, you start it on Thursday. You don't get a day off until the division series after the first 2 games. That way, the 1 and 2 seeds only rest Monday and Tuesday maybe Wednesday at the most. They're playing Thursday, maybe as early as Wednesday. Then you're giving those guys a real advantage because they got 2 days off. 5 days off screws everybody in baseball.
Well, it just comes down to not being able, you want to penalize them and not let them use their number 1 pitcher two times in such a short series. That's what it comes down to. And so they used Wheeler. I guess Wheeler, they swept him, so they got to bring Wheeler back in that next series, right? So they used Wheeler twice in such a short series, which they weren't penalized at all. It's also that extra day. There was 1 extra day.
Well, then they got TV day off. The National League played a game.
Or you let the top 2 seeds decide whether they want to play right away or wait. They're all.
Or what about if you just play all the games on the road or something? Like you have to
play
all
the
games.
Oh, they do that in the first round.
I know, but even in the second round, this wasn't even the question I was going to say. Is just like with baseball, with eyeballs, just the viewing age of baseball is only going. It's just going up because there's just not that many people that are super locked in on baseball that are younger. Would you guys sacrifice the sanctity of the baseball record books for a more exciting 60-game season?
60-game season?
No way.
No.
We said
I would go as far as how about make the wild card just a 1-game play-in instead of a 3-game series?
They did that. They did that up until
and then they got rid of it. Yeah.
Well, they got rid of it because
that would never happen, right? Because the owners make too much money from attendance,
from playoff money. Yeah.
I agree. I think 162 is a lot, but they would never make it shorter.
But what about I just think about the NFL, the NFL, the thing that's so good about the NFL is there's only 16 or 17 games. And so it's each game, there's so many eyeballs on every single game and so much put into each. What if it was more spaced out like that? And it was every game,
That's why
they ought to reach out a little bit more. They're so worried about reaching out to every group Tonight's Cal night. Tomorrow night's USC night. Tomorrow night's USF night. Tonight's Manny Pacquiao night. They've got a million different things. They used to reach out to kids and put a boatload of kids in the upper deck at all these games.
Little League night.
When was the last time you saw that? When was the last time you saw like an entire school of kids all sitting together at the game?
I think a
Don't
lot of
do that.
schools would feel like that was a punishment now.
I know, yeah. But I
Been a
mean,
while.
seriously, you're going to have to do
Go
something.
watch the Giants. Yeah.
The bottom line is baseball is not relevant with a 12-year-old anymore. Just not. It's
Damn.
not. So what do you want to do about it? What do you want to do about it? You want to force guys to go sign autographs? You want to, there's just like there's a little bit of a disconnect between kids. Kids are way, way more into the NBA than they are into MLB. I can tell you that. I mean, I have a 14-year-old, and he plays baseball, and he's more into basketball than baseball because they do a better job of marketing the players. He knows the names. I mean, there's very few people who know the names of baseball teams. Like if you walked into any school in America, okay, right now, tomorrow morning, any school in America, and had $100 bill and said, okay, I'm going to give this $100 bill to somebody who can name the first and last name of 4 Texas Rangers. Go. You'd walk out of there with your 100, very disappointed.
They couldn't even tell you the 3 countries in North America. Let alone.
They have no idea. Heck, you could do that, and that's for kids, of course. Kids used to know everything, right? I mean, it's like you can't name these teams. I mean, the Astros are a little bit easier because they've been in the World Series, but after Altuve, I bet you'd have a lot of a lot of blank looks on your face on the faces of people.
Yeah.
Name an Astro. Verlander, Dusty, Altuve.
I bet most kids only know on a broad spectrum. They probably only know Ohtani.
Ohtani's
Ohtani's the
Judge, that's
biggest
probably it.
Maybe Mike Trout, but Mike Trout isn't really like an outgoing person.
No,
So-
even with the NBA, like there's already kind of a problem within the NBA. They're talking about shortening the season or like adding a mid-season tournament because it's like
They are.
To the-
There is a
does-
midseason tournament.
it's
It's
this
starting.
year.
It's
it's
year.
starting this year.
Mhm.
But
It
it's like
is, yeah.
there's an issue with like what like does this matter at all? Does this regular season even matter? And like we saw it last year, like Miami just they come in as an 8 seed, win the playing game, then they just beat the Bucks, end up going to the world.
I mean,
the
did you
NBA
guys
finals.
see? Did you guys see what they're playing for in this tournament?
$1 million.
Why do I care?
Exactly.
Each
Why do I care? I mean, exactly. What am I getting out of that? What's
Yeah.
anybody getting out of that?
To me,
You don't think they want $1 million bucks?
No,
what I
I'm just
wanna-
saying. Why does the fans care that?
Oh, we don't give a
guys,
shit.
Yeah.
At
So
all.
okay, so now you got the players playing hard, but I mean, why does anybody care? I mean, you know what American sports needs more than anything that would juice it up? Relegation.
I'll tell you what I think.
You
I
want
don't
to
know
juice
what
things
the-
up? Relegation. Hey, guess what? You finished last in the NFL. You get the worst record. Suddenly, you're not in the NFL.
Hey, like if you win a golf tournament, you or the Masters, you get this automatic,
Exemption.
invite,
Yeah.
exception. Why not make the winner of the play-in tournament wherever they finish? If they finish first in the seed, great. But let's say they finish 11th, give them the automatic 8th seed.
Why not?
Give them
Yeah.
the 8th seed. You earned it. I mean, play for something.
Right.
Because
It's like you're thinking like NCAA tournament. You get in if you win the Pac-12 tournament. No matter,
Right.
even if you
Yeah.
sucked, even if you lost every game in the Pac-10 regular season, you show up at wherever, Vegas, and you win the Pac-12 tournament, Oregon State, guess what? You're going to the tourney.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
make it
I like that too.
exciting. Give them the 8th seed if they happen to fall out of the seeding, they automatic, because you know what? Some guys, like if they have injuries, it might give them a chance to say, okay, hey, look, let's lock our spot in here, make it worthwhile. I mean, like you said, Larry, the fan cares about their team. What are they going to do? Wear around? We won the in season. We're going to get a T-shirt, and you're going to wear
called
that
a cup.
around.
I think it's called the NBA Cup.
Like they're trying to like do like I don't know.
You're going to wear an NBA Cup shirt of your team? I mean,
I'd rather own the Bay Bridge trophy.
Oh my God, I forgot about that phallic looking thing.
Did you know when you win the Masters, you can't take the green jacket home with you?
You can't?
No. I'm pretty
What's
sure
the
you have to
purpose?
leave it there.
Oh man, that sucks.
Isn't that ridiculous?
They don't. They can't afford to
take it
give.
home.
I mean, is there only one?
No, they fit you. They fit you for it, and then there's like
only one.
Well, I
an
mean,
arm
if you
wall.
can't take it home, or they just like put it on you for the TV, and then
They're
it's
so
off?
cheap. They only give you. There's only one. Everybody's got to share
on,
it.
you still
No.
take
They have an arm wall with everyone who's ever won. Their jackets there, so when you come back, you can wear it to the dinners and whatnot. But I don't.
What if you put on some LB? So that will they let it out for you?
Could you imagine?
Alter that shit.
You show up and it looked like Larry in that Golden State jersey, man. You're just like busting
John
out.
Daly. John Daly wins it at 23. He gets an exemption for life. He wins it again at like 50. He's like, thing doesn't fit.
So
All
like,
right.
what they're doing is they're going after like the English Premier League model, where like, for example, like they have the FA Cup is like,
But they have relegation. Larry's right. They should relegate that shit.
They have relegation, but like what I don't understand is like, what is the purpose of the cup? So like the FA Cup, like they care about it. It's like a single round knockout thing, and a lot of times like the best teams don't even play all their best players. But it's like whoever wins it, it kind of means something because the cup's been around since like maybe like the 1800s. But like, who gives a literal fuck about this brand new cup that has no history?
Well, they're hoping
There's no
Nobody
incentive.
cares. Nobody cares. While we're on the NBA, let's close with this because we're gonna close this.
I'll tell you what I would love if they would ever do it. Just 1 year where instead of NBA playoffs, where it's like your turn to win, our turn to win, your turn to win, our turn to win. There's never been any close games in the series, but we're in a seventh game situation. I hate that. I just absolutely can't stand that. How about 1 year where it's literally a best of three or winner take all? Just one game. And it's like, here we go. It's Warriors against Lakers. It's Clippers against Warriors. Let's see. It's like it's so rare to see anybody play with any real pressure. That's the beauty. I think that's one of the reasons that you see some wild card teams in baseball make it to the World Series. Because when you can play under the pressure of you win, you move on, you lose, you go home, I think that hardens you. That's how the Giants won their last World Series. They beat the Pirates in the one-game playoff. Yep. And they just were proven they had this edge. And I would love to see that. I would love to see a one-game situation or a best of three. This best of seven is just...
You see it with March Madness, like these teams that just come out of nowhere and they just catch fire. It's so sick. And I agree with you, Larry. Like the NBA, the problem with the NBA is like, so the NBA, you do all that NBA season, and then like the playoffs are a whole nother freaking season. And it's like
okay,
3 months. Does
long.
the one seed, do we really need to go 7 games with the 1 seed versus the shitty 8 seed? Like, let's just make it a 3-game series. You play all of the games at the home for the 1 seed. And it's like the 1 seed dude, all you have to do is like win, it's
win at home.
Win 2 games.
Win at home. But I mean, that's the beauty of the NCAA tournament. No matter what game you tune into, no matter if it's a 16 versus a 1, a 7 versus a 10, you know, as you're watching that whoever wins moves on and whoever loses goes home, and it creates a level of urgency that is awesome. And that's what the NBA is that's what they covet. They look at college basketball and they're like, these guys suck. These guys can't make free throws. Their talent sucks. All these NBA announcers always crap on college basketball in March. They're constantly crapping on college basketball. Like, do you know how bad these guys are? Yeah, but guess what? People want to watch that because it's the simplicity of the format of you win, you move on, you lose, you go home. And instead, you get this like, okay, it's It's the Warriors as the 1 seed against some dog meat team as the 7 seed. It's like the Warriors win game 1, but the other team wins game 2. But who cares? Because there's a game 3.
So which of the major 4 sports has the most exciting playoffs?
NFL.
NFL, I agree. Then NHL.
NHL is pretty good.
Hockey's pretty good.
Hockey's
I
good,
I
but
go NHL too.
Hockey's another example, though, of like, it's just like, what does the regular season matter at all?
hockey, the weird thing about hockey is they fight like crazy in the games that don't matter. And in the games that do matter, nobody ever throws a blow.
They don't
You know
want
what
to
I mean?
get tossed.
That
in the
is
next
kind of a
game.
weird dynamic.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground. We could keep going, but let's close it here, and then we'll get final thoughts. I want to talk real quickly. Warriors, they've had 3 playoff games. We don't have time to go
Preseason games.
Preseason. We don't have time to do a deep dive. But what's your take on the Warriors this year? And Jonathan Kuminga tonight scored again, game high, 28 points. He's averaging like 25 points.
Getting to the rack or
Game.
getting into the line.
So what do you see from the Warriors? Just briefly, in a nutshell, what do you think this year? Are they a playoff team? Are they a top 4 seed? Where do you see them going this year at this point? It's early, I know, but it's
I'll start. I think
Go ahead, John.
I think they look awesome. Chris Paul looks like pretty happy. Like I noticed that he just seemed very, very locked in and happy when he's on the floor. If he can run that second unit, I think Dario Saric is a really good fit for the team. He plays that kind of wing, like, pop wing pretty well. Kuminga looks like he's taken a step. If he continues to get to the line and continues to shoot like above 85% from the line, that's huge. Because he's got freak athleticism. I think they're a top 4 team if everyone stays healthy. They look really good, in my opinion.
Let's go, Los.
I think they're a 4 or 5 seed. I'm not a fan of them being as small as they are. They didn't learn their lesson from the Lakers series. It was basically a layup drill. No resistance to the basket at all. They won their championships with Bogut, Zaza, McGee, true centers. I don't know why Kerr doesn't like true big men. As long as they don't have one, I think they'll be really good, but not a championship.
Trace Jackson's pretty tall.
Yeah, but he doesn't play rookies. Great. He's going to block shots in the preseason. I bet you he doesn't see the floor at all, Harley.
I think Podziemski's going to play a shit ton.
We'll see.
I think they're going to be a 4 or 5 seed too. But I think the major improvement is going to be the second team. You're going to have Chris Paul, who can really facilitate an offense and be the distributor point guard. And I think Kuminga, Moody, and Podziemski are really going to be key factors into.
GP2 looks good too right now.
And
I was
GP2,
watching tonight.
yeah.
He was a ball. He was like, one thing I've noticed this preseason versus maybe past preseasons is the games seem more intense. Like the players are actually playing defense. I don't know.
They are, and I just think
it seems like the finals compared to the All-Star game.
Yeah.
I think the depth is just going to be overall a little better.
Who makes the last spot? Is it Rudy Gay or is it?
He's making it.
You think he gets the 14th spot?
Is Quinones in the team?
He's a veteran.
Who?
What about Quinones?
Quinones is gonna go down to center.
Garuba's a 2-way, but they signed Garuba, Usman Garuba.
He's the center, right?
I like him. He plays
41% from 3, and
he's a 2-way.
He's a 2-way. He's on the 2-way deal. I just think that one, it looks like Kuminga is just absolutely ready for a liftoff, and Kerr's just got to make sure that he sticks with him the whole year. Last year he got to the playoffs. He looked raw for a couple games. It was like, banished. You got to have this guy is to me, their only shot at, I give them 5% chance of winning a title, but because they're not going to get by all these younger teams, they're too old, but they are deeper. And if Kuminga can bust out and become a star and become like they can feed off of Kuminga, then that's something. I do agree that Pajemski's going to play tons and tons of minutes because he knows how to play and he rebounds. So if you rebound, the coach is always going to trust you.
He hustles.
So I think, and he knows how to play.
He's a dog.
And so Kuminga, I think he'd be a lot like DiVincenzo. I think Pajemski looks like kind of like a replacement for DiVincenzo. Kuminga, I think, is going to bust out and be a star. Chris Paul looks great right now, and he's so efficient, and they're going to win some games. But the question is, he plays a slow tempo. They play an up tempo. Can he play their tempo, or are they going to slow it down to play Chris's tempo? And if he plays up tempo ball, is he standing in May, or is he done? So I mean, that's the one thing. They're not even going to talk about the playoffs with any seriousness until May. It's October. So
yeah,
I mean,
April they start playoffs. Mid-April.
But I'm just saying, you contend for a title in May.
You're right.
It's October, so who knows what he's going to be. But right now, he looks great. GP2, to me, looks like he's finally healthy. I think he's going to play a ton. I think Trace Jackson-Davis is going to be the guy who actually plays because he also knows how to play.
He's a 4-year. Was he a 4-year guy at Indiana?
Yeah, 4-year guy at Indiana. He's got a little baby hook inside. He can rebound. He can block shots. But his best thing is he's got gigantic hands and he can pass the ball out of the block. And people are going to love him. And he's going to be – he, in a lot of ways, is Draymond. There's so many of Draymond's traits that Jackson Davis has. He knows how to set a pick. He knows how to roll to the bucket. He understands the spacing. He's played 4 years. He knows good shot selection versus bad shot selection. So I think they're way deeper. And the other guy who looks like worlds better to me is Moses Moody. Moses Moody last year compared to this year is night and day as far as explosiveness. This year, he looks explosive. And he looks like a guy who's going to play major minutes and be damn good. So
that's good.
I like I think they're way deeper than they were last year. But they also going to need that depth because Steph's old, Paul's ancient, Draymond's old, Clay's old. Once they get 20, 25 games in, these guys are going to get hurt. They're going to need rest. So, they've got a better bench, deeper bench, and more, and they got some younger players who are smarter than their older younger players. But I still think they're like a 5 seed, 6 seed, and I give them like a 5% chance of going to the finals and like a 1% chance of winning it all.
Right.
I'm still pretty high on them. I mean, they still won the championship, 2 seasons ago? I still think Steph Curry's the best player in the league. I just think everybody's going to be rowing in the right direction, in the same direction this year. Everybody's going to complement each other. This kind of feels like the last hurrah. The only thing I'm really worried about is like Chris Paul's health. And I'd say probably the only teams I'd have above them in the West as far as like chances to win the championship would be the Suns and Suns and Nuggets, I guess.
Not the Lakers. And then, Lakers are deep.
Not the Lakers.
Really?
And then
Lakers
I think
are a bad matchup for them.
I think that let's see. I think that they're probably going to be a 4 seed because I bet there's some young gunning team that's going to make it.
Sacramento, Memphis,
maybe Sacramento. I put a bunch of futures on the Oklahoma City. I just thought Shea
They're awesome.
Yeah, I feel like they're getting that tall fucker back from the Gonzaga kid. Yeah, they just got a bunch of
Chet,
super young. Yeah, like it's the kind of team that could.
Chet's awesome, by the way. Chet's gonna be awesome.
He's awesome.
He's gonna be awesome, and they're the kind of team that just could blend together and it could just go. And it's like one of those teams that comes out of nowhere.
The game I want to see is OKC against San Antonio. I want to see Chet go up against Wembanyama.
Snap each other in half. Yeah, I think Shea has a chance to win MVP. I was trying to think of like outside odds. He looked just phenomenal when he was playing in the whatever that was, the World.
That dude is so smooth.
He's so smooth. He's so good. So like I could see a team like that, being the 3 seed. Warriors are the 4 or 5. And as far as the East goes, I mean, just the Celtics and Bucks would be the only teams I'd be worried about. So I think it's like, they're going to be in the mix. They're going to be in the mix for sure.
I'll say the vibes just around the team at this point this season is much higher than last season. Just overall.
Brian, with this comment, Brian hit it on the head. I think it's way more professional once you get Poole out of there with his antics and turning the ball over late in games and thinking he's Steph, that's getting him out of there is going to
And no one punched anyone.
Yeah. More professional.
Yeah. I don't
You
know.
know what will be interesting to me also is, I kind of look at Chris Paul as kind of the way I looked at D'Lo, when they moved off of KD, in that D'Lo's true value was in what he brought in the next deal with Wiggins and Kuminga. And I really think that if Golden State is going to be serious about contending for a title, they're going to need to turn old Chris Paul into two young players that are very good, So I don't, or at least one good young player. I don't, because I just don't think you can add a 38-year-old guy and suddenly you're going to win. I mean, like, he looks good right now. It's October. He hasn't played all year, but I think the real value of Chris Paul is in the $30 million expiring.
Flip him for a big for Los.
Yes, go get Robert Williams. He's not going to be useful with DeAndre Ayton up there.
Robert Williams, or I don't know who, but
Time Lord? That's his nickname.
I definitely think I would be. My guess is they move Paul by the deadline to somebody who really wants to either move him to another team or to have an expiring deal, and gives you a younger piece or two that you can utilize. Otherwise, because Chris Paul added to Steph Curry and Pajemski and Clay, to me, that's too small of a backcourt. I think you need a bigger, more athletic backcourt than that.
I think
they're going
though, Paul,
to have to outscore teams because they're not going to be a top 10 defensive team the way they have it right now.
But Paul and Green are going to coach up those young guys. I think the advantage, coaching up Kuminga, Pajemski. How do you say his name?
Pajemski.
Pajemski. Okay, there we go. Pajemski.
ZIM is like JEM.
Okay, Pajemski coaching up, all the young guys, and I think having Paul on the team with another voice besides Green getting in guys' faces is really going to be valuable, because Green has been the guy he's going to be himself again because, Poole's gone, but Paul there is just a little bit more calming.
They're going to win games because of Paul until Paul gets hurt, and then all of a sudden they're not going to win games because they're not going to have him. So I mean, the one thing is you got rid of a 23-year-old guy who played a ton of minutes. Now, he was broken, immature, didn't get along with your core. You had to move him. And I like the move because I think there's more teams that will take Paul's expiring than would have taken Poole's, massive bloated contract where he only plays half the floor.
Right.
So I think that was smart. It was like they just looked at these guys as assets and they said, who's a more marketable asset? They're like, oh, you know what? Paul's a more marketable asset, and they're right. But it's all going to matter is what can they get for him?
Yeah.
What can they get for him?
It will be interesting. But anyway, guys, been a great show tonight. We went just over 2 hours. Larry's on tomorrow morning with Damon Bruce, right, at 8:00?
Yeah, tomorrow, Wake Up 49ers with Damon Bruce tomorrow, brought to you by Palmetto Superfoods. And then, Grant and I usually stream at some point. Maybe we'll stream in the afternoon. If not, maybe on Tuesday. And then 4 o'clock tomorrow, Ned Coletti, Brian Sabian, face-to-face on the Curve Show.
That's going to be awesome. Everybody tune into that.
Yes.
Larry's show started, was it March of 22, Larry?
March of 2022, yeah.
March of 2022. Here we are, some 18 months later, October 23. He's up to 26,000 subs, topping KMBR's Cume, right? Isn't there Cume 24 or 25?
I don't know what their Cume is. All I know is every sponsor that I have, including you, they've called trying to steal.
Oh my God!
So that tells you how business is going for them.
Wow.
There you go.
So
they are expensive.
I mean,
Delos knows.
Yes, I do.
You're going to have this time next year, Larry could hit 40, 50,000.
50.
Yeah.
We'll see.
50 subs.
So
I was in the top 10. The second Larry tweeted it out, boom, I hit it.
And by the way, we're going to do a lot of Warrior stuff this year, and you guys are all invited to join, anytime you can. Rye and Danny, of course, are OGs on the channel. And as far as I'm concerned, have the standing invite to come on, promote your channels anytime you want. I'm going to be doing some Warriors stuff throughout the season. Not every Warrior game, but I'll do a number of Warrior games. Carl Foster will be in the house, maybe a little yell at everybody, Cy, and Red will be in the house.
yeah, we gotta get Red's
Baller.
channel.
Eric will be in the house.
Baller will be there from time to time. I know Red's gonna be. Touch base with Red. He's gonna join me from time to time. Hey, if I can, one of the things that we did today on the channel is something I really love to do. Is like just take a second, take a few minutes at the end of the show, and just shout out everybody's channel and let everybody kind of promote themselves and give people, 5 minutes to kind of fool around on YouTube and go follow all these other channels that they're not following. And hopefully, rising tide lifts all boats kind of a theory.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate that, Larry, quite a bit. You coming on to our show tonight. As we, as you know, we covered the Giants extensively through the season. And we're named NorCal Sports Network, not San Francisco Giants, post-game show. So we want to get in, we're never going to come close to what you do at the Krug Show. But if we could just get, a tenth even of, if we can get to 2,600, we'd be thrilled. So if you're out there, hit the like button for us, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and tell your friends about us. We do cover the Warriors, the 49ers, and the Giants, and we'll even touch on the Kings as well, because that's part of NorCal. And, it's a market where, this is the go-to market. YouTube, in the content creators, you can listen to this at your leisure. I mean, you don't have to catch the whole show. You can come back, catch it later. Unlike radio, when it's done, it's done. And, Larry's got the channel, in my opinion, of all of the Bay Area that covers all the sports, not just covering the Niners, but he covers the the Warriors and the Giants. And as evidence, tomorrow he's got, Brian Sabian and Ned Colletti, the architects of turning around the San Francisco Giants franchise. Those two guys came in 1997 after a horrible 96 season and led the Giants to 8 consecutive winning seasons that would have been 8 straight playoff appearances under today's playoff format with 3 wildcard teams. All those teams would have made all 8 years. And then Ned went down to LA in 2005. And then, the rest of the story, the Giants went on to win 3 World Series championships. So Ned Colletti and Brian Sabian are a huge, huge part of the San Francisco Giants history. And they're going to be on tomorrow. And nobody in the Bay Area, I'm talking radio or anywhere else in YouTube, has got these two together since they were both with the Giants. And that's been 20 years ago. So tune in tomorrow, the Krug Show, 4:00, Ned Colletti and Brian Sabian. It's going to be a hell of a show.
Also, shameless
MF
plug.
was the one who said it, by the way. MF was like, "Hey, dude, have these guys on together," and it kind of motivated me to get off my ass and do it. So
there we go, MF.
There you go.
Shameless plug for me as well.
Yes.
West Coast Bias on YouTube. I think there's a good chance that Dan and I might do a fantasy show, because I realized Dan likes to call me and then we talk for like 40 minutes about fantasy moves. And then I was thinking, like, why don't we just do this as a show, basically? So I think maybe we'll do.
I had a great trade today, and Bora pulled the plug.
Yep.
On me.
Yeah.
I was about ready to accept it, and it's been sitting there for 12 hours. I was ready to accept. Was waiting for the games to finish, and because Rashad White sucked today, he pulled the trade.
You guys never learn with those trades.
But yeah, I think it's going to be a good
Gotta do
fantasy
something.
show. It's going to be a good fantasy show. I consume way too much fantasy content. Also, I've been doing shows talking about the whole league, doing gambling. I'm 8-3 in my best bets, so
Ooh,
make a
nice.
little money.
Holler.
All right, that is West Coast bias, right? West
Yes,
Coast
correct.
bias.
Correct.
Yeah, I'll
Amanda.
tune into
Thank
that
you.
show. I could use all the help I need.
Bora is unfortunately, poor Bora. He has not a bad team. He's ranked in the middle of the power rankings, but for some reason he's 0-6 after today. And
Has there been any good controversies this year in the fantasy league? Or
well, Rye's not in our league, so
Oh,
Oh man.
blaming the drugs.
Oh man.
but well, we didn't have a controversy. Our commissioner. Let's pull him up on the main screen. How do we do that? Can we put our commissioner up there, Eric? We had a big trade. There he is, the commissioner. He didn't have the balls to just
what?
just
What are you talking about?
Oh, here we go.
He didn't have the
Here
balls
we
to
go.
just
Didn't have the
approve
balls
the
to do
trade. To approve the trade, he changed the format to a vote.
How exactly does that help my team, Lowe's?
Yeah.
Not supposed
Oh,
to.
wow.
I don't think anything's been vetoed, right?
My first trade got
The very
vetoed.
first trade.
Oh. Well, that trade was fucking ridiculous.
But it was in my favor.
Yeah. The trade was absurd. Did you tell Rye about that one?
What was that?
I don't
I
even
don't
remember
remember
it.
what it was, but it was like I don't even know. It was ridiculous. We can go back and look. It was absurd.
I do love Dan. Like he's like, it seems like his team is like stacked at this point. Like he's done it, but he just cannot stop improving.
No,
He
you can't
can't.
stop.
Talking trading Bijan for ETN and something else.
He's a
It's
man who
just like,
hates
that's
Farhan,
getting-
but when he gets into fantasy, he becomes Farhan.
Mhm.
Ask him how many calculators he has.
Yeah, I'm still mad. There's no kickers in the league. That's right. No. Yeah, I probably
what's
would
the-
have
Wearing
done-
the Kapler shirt.
Danny, you got to get your wife in the league, and then you guys would talk more about sports, and then it would bring the relationship closer.
I think there might be some collusion allegations.
I'm
Look at
3-3 now. Okay, I'm 3-3.
Look at that.
What are you pulling that up for?
Look how many moves.
Let's see, 35 moves,
Hey, it's week 6. Come on, that's only 6 a week.
35 moves. Do you
Heroku,
even know?
23.
I'll give you $100 if you can name your original squad.
I was
Oh, that'd
looking
be-
at
that'd
that
be
last
fun.
night.
Go, like,
I've got
the week
5
one
guys.
squad,
I got
then show-
5 of my 15 that are originals.
Yeah, great.
Hey, but my squad, I maneuvered myself into getting Stephon Diggs, and I drafted Josh Allen, so I've got Allen and Diggs. I got Jared Goff. We're in a 2-quarterback league.
How many people's wives in your league think that their husband's cheating because of trades you proposed at 4 a.m.?
And I'm not even in the league.
That's why I don't trade. That's why I don't trade with him. I have a Latina wife.
Yeah. Los murdered. Why? Danny's fantasy trade offer.
Exactly.
She was convinced Los was cheating.
I don't even remember my original tight end, but I got
Yeah,
I got
you-
Sam
you-
Laporta now.
Why don't you tell everybody the real story? Danny didn't like a trade the other day that he had proposed. He forgot that he had proposed it. Oh, that was one of my favorite stories.
All right, I do have Devontae Smith available if anybody wants to make a
He has
offer.
Dan. I'll tell you what. He has a great fantasy playoffs. If you go look at the matchups in what would be the fantasy playoffs, I wouldn't let go of any of the Eagles receivers.
Okay.
That's a free one right there.
Danny's
There we
probably
go.
not. He probably doesn't think like that. He's more week to week.
Don't call me to trade. You know that. I don't trade. Don't need to.
Dan, we can work something out.
Oh, look at that. We got one person who's willing to listen to you.
There we go. There we
Who
go.
the hell is that? Honey, it's Dan. He's offering 2 wide receivers for a tight end and a running back.
Yeah, right.
Let me see that. Oh, shit. He is. Does he know what time it is? Yes, he does, honey.
I'm out.
Oh man,
Yeah,
I'm out too,
you
man.
should get Mika in the
Take it
lead.
easy.
Wake her up. She'd be up already with you.
Later, guys. I got an early morning.
All right.
Peace.
Thanks, Larry.
See you
See you
later.
guys.
Thanks, Larry.
Peace, everyone.
See ya.
All right.
All right, man. I am fading fast here. My concussion symptoms have not disappeared. Long shows today give me a little bit of
Yeah, that's 5 hours, 3 with Larry and 2 more here.
Yeah, I felt a lot better yesterday. Today's a little but I'll get there.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks to everybody. Bora and Los, Eric. We'll be back. We doing a show tomorrow night after Monday Night Football, did we say? Was that the plan? Can't remember.
You don't know, yeah.
It won't be long, though. I can tell you that. This was a longer show. I mean, we'll probably this week's shows. I got a busy week. They'll probably be no more than 75 minutes. No, we can keep them shorter. We can do that if we're just boom, boom, boom. It's when you got 5 or 6 or 7. How many do we? 7 in the house.
We had 7. Yeah, that makes it a little bit longer.
It makes it for a lot longer. So
That's why
it's
I skipped
good.
on the basketball too. I didn't want to drag it out any longer than it has.
So, but very good. NorCal sports. We cover. You guys have known us for covering the Giants, and we still will. When the Giants break news, we'll have it here first. When we hear, they've got a manager, they've got a players they sign, whatever.
When they hire the first female manager in sports history,
we'll be on it. But we are going to be covering the Niners very, very much. We are football guys.
Be the main thing going forward.
Yeah, be the main thing, Niners, because it's the story. I mean, the Niners are going to be the story probably into February, is what we're hoping. And
that's the hope, right?
Yeah. So we'll be covering the Niners weekly, probably 3 times a week. We'll probably do I don't know. We might do a Monday night show. We might do a Wednesday or Thursday night show. And then our new slot is, guys, look for the Saturday night show. That's going to be the 49ers preview and our NFL picks. And we'll cover some of our fantasy. That'll be a dedicated football night. And then Sunday nights at 8:30 after Sunday Night Football. Larry won't join us all the time, when he's available, but wanted to get him tonight. So we'll do a 49ers wrap up on Sunday night because all the other 49er content shows will be run after the games, which will generally be early afternoon or late after, from after the 4 o'clock, after they finish around 4:30. So any final thoughts from you guys? Bora, Los, final thoughts?
It was a disappointing day for the Niners, right? Didn't get the win, but on the bright side, the Eagles lost to the Jets. So
yeah, that lessens it a lot.
That definitely lessens it because the ultimate goal is the 1 seed. You don't need to go 17-0. It's all about the 1 seed. That's what matters. And it's a 3-way tie for first right now. The Eagles, Niners, and Lions. Lions are a sneaky team, but Eagles lose and they have a gauntlet coming up. They have the Dolphins next week, I think. Then they play, I don't know who they play, but their next 6 to 8 games are really hard. So it's looking pretty good for the Niners. It's just one game. It was bound to happen sooner or later. It was this type of game. The offense didn't look the best. The defense didn't look the best. It was going to happen sooner or later. Be glad it happened sooner rather than later in the season.
Yeah.
They get it all out of the way. They know what they need to fix, and they'll fix it. So going on to Monday night next week.
There we go. Los.
My final thought is simply I'm loving how my fantasy football team is playing. That is all.
You know, I was going to say the bad guy looks pretty bad right now. I mean, you have, I got to say, when I look at your team and I look at Hiroku's team, those to me are the top two teams talent-wise. I think I'm up there too, but maybe not where you guys might be right now. Should be fun. I mean, you're 5-1. You're second.
Not yet. He's got Prescott and Prescott and somebody else.
Who are you playing tomorrow? Oh, you got it.
I'm playing Trock. I'm done.
Oh, he ain't getting 58 points.
58 from Prescott and Eckler. You never know. San Diego, the Chargers do not have a great defense.
I mean, I could see Eckler going for 30.
Stranger things have happened, but
They have.
yeah. Too bad Justin went down because I would have put up 180.
Yeah, you're putting up some points.
You might need a quarterback.
You might need a quarterback. Jared Goff,
Sam Howell,
Lamar,
Jared Goff?
Sam
Jared
Howell.
Goff, man. Jared Goff.
just call me before 10 p.m. You know Sonya, man.
That's great. All right, Eric, finish up.
They just got to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, prepare for next week. Hopefully the injuries don't create an issue for the team going into next week. If you can rest them, that would be great. You know, you don't want to have to spin bullets that you don't have to, especially with guys like CMC, Debo, and what about Trent Williams? I mean, is that going to be a lingering issue as well?
It's an ankle sprain, and they're
If
playing.
it's a regular ankle, low ankle, be all right. If it's a high ankle,
he walked out of the clubhouse with a walking boot.
That's not good, especially on turf, right? Isn't that going to be?
I think he's got a high ankle sprain. I really do.
That's not good. That's not good.
I saw that roll, and it looked like it was up high where those ligaments stretch, and
yeah, they're going to be playing on that crappy surface in Minnesota too, right?
Yeah.
So
I'd say give everybody a couple weeks off.
Yeah,
I don't know
maybe.
if you can give Trent a week off though. Daniil Hunter is one of the top edgers in the league.
Yeah, but you can't risk, and that's the thing, man. You got to kind of you got to balance the smoke. You got to because if you risk further injury, then he's going to be out for the whole season, and you can't have that. He's what, 35 years old. You got to be careful with guys like that, especially with how the key position that he plays. So
They should
let's
be
see
good
what
enough
happens.
to beat the Vikings without a few players, but they got to play better than they did today.
Yes, they did.
And they will. They will.
They will.
Yeah, I'm confident of that.
All right, everybody. We will. What do you guys want to do? You guys want to come back tomorrow night, or you want to stretch it to midweek?
It's up to you. Don't matter to me.
I'm trying to think.
I'll see. I'll text you tomorrow. I'll see how I feel.
Yeah. After a long day, I'm not just like ready to commit to tomorrow.
Yeah, you might need a day off. So
Yeah. So
baseball will be there Tuesday as well.
we got 2 games tomorrow. Baseball, right?
Yeah, NL and ALCS. Yeah.
Who's the early game?
Early game is
Philadelphia.
ALCS is the early game. It's going to be Evaldi. I think it's Evaldi's pitching.
Why would that be the?
I think they said they moved it. I thought they said that on the broadcast that they moved it up to like 3:30 or something Eastern. I could have sworn that's what they said.
Let me look. I'll look right now. Here's the schedule tomorrow. Major League Baseball on Monday. Come on.
Or is it 5:30 and 8 Eastern? Maybe that's what it is.
Okay, it's at 1:30 our time tomorrow. Rangers, Astros, 1:37. That game will probably end right about 4, just in time for Larry's show. And then Diamondbacks, Phillies, 5:07 p.m.
And by the way, nobody is giving the Diamondbacks a chance. So
No,
go
that
Arizona.
would be great to
It's
see
tough
them.
though. Philadelphia is a tough place to play right now.
I know, but man, Arizona beat Milwaukee and the Dodgers.
True. It's
They,
they're both
they lost.
both. No, they haven't. Neither has Texas.
Hey,
They're-
don't count out
These are two
Arizona,
hot
man.
teams, man.
Arizona has nothing to lose.
But
No,
you know,
that's right.
Nobody thinks they can win. Reminds me of 2010 versus the Phillies, the Giants. Nobody thought the Giants would win.
Yeah, good point.
I bet.
Yeah,
See,
they could
that's what makes
Get good
baseball
odds
great.
on the
You know?
Diamondbacks.
Yeah, Zach Gallen goes tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
He does. Yeah.
against Wheeler.
That's a heck of a pitching
Don't
matchup.
he can't if he's not on, Melly, they're gonna make him pay.
So yeah, Philly. That's probably the toughest place.
That's a
I
tough
was thinking about
environment.
it. First fans go. I think Philadelphia
Oh yeah.
may have the most rabid sports fans in the U.S.
Yeah.
Did you see those two guys on the top of the stadium? Yeah. When Harper hit his, I don't know if it was a grand slam, but like the home run, and they shot. There were two guys on top of the stadium, like on top of the awning, carrying on.
Yeah, Mark Graves says it right there. Just see how the games go. If boring games and skip tomorrow, yeah. I don't know. I have a hard time talking about playoff baseball without the Bay Area teams being it personally. Just because I can talk about it, but not for long. Just because baseball's just, it's not like a lot of, there's, in football, there's so many plays.
That's
Oh my
crazy.
goodness.
Nuts.
Look at this, guys. In football, how many plays did we talk about today? All
Yeah.
the different plays. In basketball, there's so many great shots. Baseball, you might get 2 or 3 moments in the whole game to talk about. And it's like, I get it if it's your team, you can talk about it, but I don't know. That's me. I can talk about the Giants in a playoff game for an hour or two, just because it's the Giants, But we'll see.
Play it by ear.
Yeah. All right. Let's get out of here. We'll see you guys sometime this week. Just be looking for the thumbnail and the alert. Until then, have a great night, everybody. Arrivederci. Ciao, ciao.